I've been tossed overboard.
I'll have to bill you extra for my time.
Welcome to the show. You look incredible, like a dessert that owns a yacht.
That's exactly the vibe I was going for. You know, sweet but slightly out of your tax bracket.
Mission accomplished. How to...
Gold on my neck, gold on my hand. Purple with the stripes, that's the walk of a man. Sidewalk shining, city lights humming. Every step I take, they know a boss. Blazing the whip, gotta vanquish the needs. My kingdom for some poppy seed.
Police or zombie problems? Your tortoise won't stop breakdancing?
Try blue tape.
The miracle of our age. Yeah!
Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThATuMBRELLAgUy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
You know what? I talked to your mayor.
Mask on. Lights low. Size 14.
They were selling me a Halo. Hands deep in the payroll. PR wolves in the raincoat, calling it a campaign. Same old 100K in the smokestack. Trust us will bring hope back. Every post was a blowback to the screenshots. Hit the group chat. Career crooks in a PR suit. One donor, paid the whole loot. 56 in a quick swoop. Left them hollow as a dry root. Timeline turning into siren. Every threat another siren. Can you feel the floor sliding? Yeah, we see where you're hiding. Master. Pulling down the curtains, receipts in my hand, now it's certain. You were out here grifting for the cloud and the cut. Now the whole feed watching while we're lining you up. Masked up, every line replay. Name and the tag, can't escape that display. You can scrub, you can spin, you can cry, that's enough. But the internet remembers and it's looking real rough. Yeah, that umbrella guy drop links. Suddenly your bravado shrinks. Every don't ass start to stink. When the totals never match the ink. Yeah, you were bragging in the group chat. Same time begging for a new stat. Talking justice in the hashtags. As you laughed about the cash grab, you said trust the plan. Now what? We just mapped every dime, every cut, every alt, every sock, every front. Funny how the mask slips in a stunt. Is it fraud? Is it cloud? Is it both? Is it law on your neck, on your throat? You could claim it's a game, it's a joke, but a lot of people broke when you spoke. Masked up, pulling down the curtains, receipts in my hand, I was certain. You were out here grifting for the cloud and the cut. Now the whole feed watching while we're lining you up. Masked up, every line on replay. Name in the tag, can't escape that display. You can scrub, you can spin, you can cry, that's enough. But the internet remembers and it's looking real rough. Screens glow, ain't scroll. Mask on.
What's up, folks? Welcome to, well, Uriah said, hey, it's really early. Yeah, it's a daylight savings time today. So not only are we normally a little bit earlier than normal, but we also have another hour added on, which is really crazy. You know, I didn't realize that we had an hour added on to our day until I went out today, and I was like, wait a minute. You know, this is terrible to say, but do any of you like never ever forget not to update the clock in your car? Like for me, my clock in my car has throughout daylight savings time, you know, where you're missing an hour. I always it's always an hour off. Well, I get in today and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, it's gosh, I'm doing stuff a bit early, and then I look at my cell phone and I thought, wait a minute, the times match. So yeah, it's a little bit early, and yet it's not. It's not. We gotta love that, huh? Yeah, that's what I mean. We lost an hour. You know, we're on the back end of the daylight savings time, so we lose our hour, which sucks. You know, well, it sucks. I woke up. I thought this morning. I woke up at like, I guess it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't realize that we had lost an hour. So I was like, wait a minute. I only slept for how long today? Apparently, there's been some really funny things that happened over the night time too, which kind of I think are kind of interesting. Between that, we definitely have some video to go over. There sounds like there's a little bit of butt hurt, which I'm sure we'll hear excuses about. All kinds of fun stuff. I mean, this, it's always good stuff too. I'm reading everybody's comments there. Arizona doesn't do daylight savings. We do here, you know. We do. I wake up ungodly in the morning. You want to see something funny too? So I like messing with the kids over, like, you know, jokes and stuff. And one of the things I do is I stick stickers on my oldest daughter's her bedroom door, right? Just random ones. Today, I stuck an employees must wash hands on her door. She's like, what in the world is this? Oh, Lord. I thought it was pretty funny. I just like randomly sticking stuff on there. See how long it takes her to notice it. She was like, what is that about? I was like, well, you know, not only is it funny, but it's good advice too. You must wash your hands. How's everybody doing on this wonderful Sunday, by the way? You know, I got thinking about a little bit of the craziness where we're talking about the protective order hearing. Did you realize that the anti side of this craziness, they don't even understand that the signs, when they're like, oh, why weren't the signs, they're talking about the protective order here, why didn't the signs come up in this stuff? Have they ever been brought up in this stuff? Yes, indeed they have. But they don't understand anything about the protective orders. They don't understand anything about how they work, and that really in the protective order, in the scheme of things, the signs, they would be part of explaining the initial problems. But where we are now with new violations, that's the key there. We're talking about new problems. You know, these folks think they are still relitigating the old, and that is a problem. That is an absolute problem, and a really stupid problem at that. You know, you have people that think that you can go in and you can challenge the stuff that came up before. And again, somehow they're going to be able to, I don't know, overturn the protective order. I'm not sure exactly what they think, but it's kind of stupid. And it's kind of amazing too. So last night, apparently, some funny stuff happened, and I want to tune into one of my fun sources for entertainment. I'd like to read you something from iWatch so you don't have to. That way, you can have a good laugh out of this too. Because apparently, a little bit of fireworkage apparently sparked last night. Well, let's check this out together. Give me 1 second. Making sure I lock in on that right. There we are. All right. Check this out. This is pretty funny. All right. And I'm sure that after it's pointed out, it'll be like, no, that didn't happen. Oh, there was a bunch of butt hurt last night too. So apparently all of the laughing about people's birthdays, we were laughing about them and saying that it's their birthday and stuff. And Jay has been laughing about the fact that they don't get any money in their streams. So they finally got somebody to super chat. I think it was $300. And I think they need to cut Jay a paycheck off of that. I'm telling you, they really should. They should have Jay as one of their major thank you for sponsors. Even though he's not actually sponsoring with money, he caused the sponsorship, which is amazing in of itself. So now tonight, of course, or today or whatever, we will be going over some wonderful news about the police stuff. But I want to go over this first. All right. So listen to what happens last night. After a night off, the flea is brimming with inflated ego, ready to burst. But first, we are forced to endure a flood of nonsense simmering in her own pot of misery. Flea's open garage door policy has proven a little spicy for her neighbors. Soon, her neighbors, they end up wandering in. So as her neighbors wander in, they start chit-chatting with the flea, with the goobs. Yeah, the co-host there, she ends up getting overrun with loud, obnoxious, and a tad bit of inappropriate behavior. So flea neighbors wander in, and when they do, co-host doesn't matter anymore. Poor co-host. The excitement from the flea to see her neighbors overjoys her, and she is quick to toss her co-host to the corner as if she were a dirty dish rag just tossed to the side. Now the co-host there, she's devastated by how she's being treated. She tries to laugh it off, but her true feelings ooze with contempt. Every time said co-host begins to report her daily activities, and get them wrong, of course, as she's doing so much, the neighbors, they end up squealing and laughing. All the commotion in the garage from the neighbors is taking the flea and the goob away from that reality, it seems. So she begins more than once to report her day, and the group finally pokes at her ego enough to trigger her to throw a couple of well-deserved mini hissy fits. She finally mutes herself more than once in protest of the neighbors taking her allotted speaking time and stealing the show. Now, as I watch So You Don't Have To says, I'm with her on this one. Not only did the neighbors interruption disrupt the show for 45 minutes, but said poor co-host is just dish racking in the corner until the flea realizes she's letting the neighbors dictate the stream, comes to, her senses as much as she can. Then finally she gets to business, talking about mean old germ. Now, what's really funny about this is I was looking at screenshots and I had no idea why people in the chat were complaining so much about let's get to the germ Let's get to him. Oh, I'm salivating here. I really want to get, they're waiting an hour because you have these random people coming in and disrupting to the point that even the co-host can't do anything with it. You got to admit, having some kind of disruption in the rank and file there where they're throwing little mini hissy fits. I think that's beautiful. I think that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Man, I love it there. Hey, man, by the way, give me a second. I lost the chat. Man, YouTube is being stupid on me. Give me a second. There we go. I lost the chat for a second there. I was like, wait a minute, where'd you go? There we are. But I thought that was amazing, all things considered. I mean, this is supposed to be their giant return to form, in which they're talking about Ohio. Was I on the witness list? Yes, I was. That's why I have a lot of information about this court hearing in the first place. Wait, what? Now, I heard a really funny thing, by the way. I heard it. If you did not, for some reason, watch all of the videos that have happened to come out so far with What the Hales, you find out that, a lot of information came from, at least to the lawyer. They were trying to depend on this person until it went sideways. So when they're talking about, how they got information and more. Now, she was playing a little game with this last night, by the way, trying to say, getting information. Oh, who could it have been that would have communicated with me? Would it have been Michelle Preston? No. Could it have been John Cook? Yeah, John Cook is probably. I'm going to say that he would either let her listen in or, there's no way. Look, she was giving by the moment updates. So there was no freaking way in the world that somebody was calling up and letting them just listen in. Oh, there was something funny too. I think she has a problem here in the fact that she's not sure how this stuff is going to go. In fact, Mark put up something. Give me a second. Put up part of a transcript, and you can see it right here. You can see them again. They're afraid that this is going to go very south. Very, very south as far as the protective order is concerned. And it very well may, by the way. You may be looking at it going very far south. But they're talking about it yesterday, and they were saying, well, there'll be no order. It's a joke. It's a joke. But I'll be honest with you here. The magistrate judge, has to let this go. She allowed Jeremy to do this throughout the entire thing. So being proven that he'd been the aggressor the whole time, make her see that he lied through. Will she going to want to admit she was wrong? Does she have to admit she's wrong? So you can see how they're like, oh, well, actually, even though we pled our case, even though the lawyer was the greatest attack dog ever, really, it's the judge's fault. That's what they're going with. So the judge would have to admit fault with the other protective orders, probably wouldn't therefore. Yeah, you see how they're playing. They're already loading the deck for things to go badly. That, to me, says quite a bit about how they feel that things turned out. That even with police and everything there, that maybe, just maybe, they feel that they might go very, very sideways for them. I'm kind of proud by that too. I'm kind of proud of them for that because they spend a lot of money for things to not materialize. A lot of donor money too, by the way, because that's that's where all of this came from. It came from donor money. Donor money that never said that they were giving money to this. Because remember that remember the course of events that paid for this lawyer. The course of events, they went something like, you had Michelle Preston sitting around talking to neighbor Tina, saying, hey, I'm going to bring X, Y, and Z charges. Then neighbor Tina runs to the flea, tells her, oh my God, this is going to go bad for you. The flea decides, hey, even though I wouldn't come off money for the 10 by 15, where I could help out the kid, where that's what the money was actually supposed to be for, you know what? I will come off some money here to keep you placated and quiet. Now, where did that money come from? Sure as shit didn't come out of her own pocket. You know better than that. It came from something to quiet her about all that missing money. That's exactly what that is. And it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing to see them going, wait a minute. You know what's crazy, though? This is the kind of talk. They don't think that John Cook will face anything with perjury. Why don't they think that, by the way? Well, because as Marla notes here, she thinks that whole system is so fucking corrupt over there with Dan Owens, his boss, and more, that nothing will actually happen there. That's pretty gross that these people, they will sit around and be like, well, you know, in order to get something that would actually happen, you have to go through this system here where all these people are attached, and they'll never allow it. That's exactly what they're saying. So the police that, like I said, we're going to be talking about that. We'll go over that video. I thought that was pretty interesting to see what was in it. But these people are openly bragging about how corrupt that system is, that you can never get justice in it, or Hales can never get justice in it. Oh, by the way, too, I thought this was fun. So guess who's back at calling out some stupid? One, Shara Wolf. Check this out, too. So Shara decided that she was going to post about some of this fun times as well. She posted, response to PR public lies dated 3/7/2026. The PR said that BBB and MP said, I'm jealous of the PR. That's the reason I left. But BBB's bulldog told the court I left because of a lawsuit from Jeremy Hales, when the truth is BBB, MP, JC, PR, and paint chips threatened me, not Jeremy Hales. Isn't that interesting, by the way? So Shara Wolf confirms. She confirms the fact that the so-called bulldog lawyer there, yeah, he was trying to say the reason that you tried to do this was because Jeremy Hales threatened you with a lawsuit. Well, if that was the case, by the way, you know how many times Bruce threatened her with lawsuit? Because he did. He did it very much so. He talked about it in chats. He talked about it in emails. He talked about it in comments and more. So if all it took to shake this person and to make them walk away from something was threat of litigation, they would never have talked about the truth in the first place. So seems kind of, but it is funny that their talk there actually has led to confirmation. I would love, in fact, I wish Shara would do an interview with whomever, I don't care, you know, but I wish she would talk about her day in court and how really what happened, her ideas on the protective order, how things went, because again, she can confirm these people have talked about everything being a lie. And the thing that I don't particularly want her pro or con in the drama aspect, but I do like the fact that she actually holds firsthand knowledge of how certain things went, how her questioning went, and more. And these people, when they step up and they say, "Oh, Jeremy Hales is a liar. This never was said, or that never was said." Well, Shara can confirm that. Shara can actually confirm that it did. But here's a confirmation, like I said, Shara too. I have to hand it to her. It is not easy to admit that people have been trying to intimidate you, that they have been trying to go after and do, they are doing, again, like we had some online verbal, sparring back and forth, which is online behavior, that can always be fun. But there is in no way, shape, or form have myself or Megan Fox ever threatened this person, ever. Because we don't threaten people, that's not part of the behavior that's that I consider tolerable, as far as stuff. But these people, they threaten out loud, they do it a lot. And they spurred Shara into talking about stuff that, would she have talked about it otherwise? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But they definitely caused it to happen 100%. So let's continue here. So why did I leave the case in 2023, B? Well, how many times did I tell you, B, I was leaving the case? That's true. We've even seen screenshots of conversations where she talked about, I'm leaving. And on top of that, we saw them being like, no, you got to stay around. Even though Michelle's such a bad, terrible person, let her yell at you. Let her yell at you. Oh, Lord. You need to come up with some better lies, BBB. I document well. My sweetness is not weakness. P.S. Lieutenant Anderson told your hired client, MP, that the evidence shows she violated the protection order at town hall. After BBB sued the very kind Corporal Gregory after he called CPS to protect the child during trespass 5, Lieutenant Anderson is the one that set up the legal team meeting by invitation with the undersheriff legal department that the undersheriff then canceled when MP started inviting several others. Now that's an interesting discussion. Did you catch that there? After BBB sued, let me read that again. The very kind Corporal Gregory, after he called CPS to protect the child during trespass 5, Lieutenant Anderson is the one that set up legal team meeting by invitation with the undersheriff's legal department that the undersheriff then canceled when MP started inviting several others. That meeting was a legal meeting, not a criminal case meeting. So what is BBB's PR lying about again? My concern at the time was the removed camper for the child. My concern was always the child's condition, living in a shed in the heat of Florida. MP said the camper was stolen by the Trespass 5, and the owner and I later received evidence it was not stolen. MP did not own it. And 3, BBB's client, MP, was training her child how to physically strike JH in the location that would be FTL. And MP told me JC trains children beginning at 5 how to handle G's. This stuff sounds crazy, man. There's so much more, BBB. You sure are bringing the truth out in the world. Why did you tell me to shut up when I cried to you about my concerns for the child? Remember how you abusively screamed at me and intimidated me to tears multiple times like your client did? By the way, Mayor RM, who your PR discussed again, for you, like he's in the pocket, was in full support of me exposing the truth in this case. He supported me protecting the child and JH after I told him about the H-man, etc. in real time. Yeah, you know, the H-man. And told me to, quote unquote, go get her. There's so much more now that I know your team has made it necessary. I'm working on my files to get started on video commentary and presentation in this case. I've kept multiple innocent people out of prison on my presentations and have what it takes in this case. All of B's and MP's public displays about me and through their PR and on their court records give me the right to protect myself publicly with evidence. That's exactly right. You know, these people, see, when they say things about you publicly, repeatedly, you have the right to respond. You know, they're like, essentially what they've tried to pull with Shara is, if you respond, we'll sue you. It's like, no, you can, yeah, they can try lawsuit. But again, that's a very easy anti-slap case. Now, the blame Jeremy and Shara gig is weak, Mr. Palamop. Can't you win on your merits? I don't think so. Didn't you jump ship? PR stated that BBB destroyed me at court yesterday. You know, on March 6th. I'll be obtaining the transcript and I'll publicly correct it. Indeed. So Shara is calling him out and saying, yo, I'll be getting that public record, by the way. And when I do, when I do. There was one other thing, too, that I thought was real fun. And then, like I said, we'll go over our video. The one other thing that I watched So You Don't Have To decided that they would post on. They would talk about that day where there was drive-bys past the schoolhouse. Let's look at this because there's been a lot of spin about this incident as of late, too. So driving past the schoolhouse, video snapshots. I did save the video if needed by anyone. So only me back in that day donated $500 in super chats. And then sent LP some PayPal money later in the stream. Right at the beginning of the video. I'm wondering, by the way, the PayPal money, I'm sure it didn't go toward LP. I'm sure that someone else, held that for them, by the way. It's so funny how LP is such a massive dupe. She's like, there's no money left. I mean, these people, God, you'd have to be a buffoon not to be able to go in and to look at how much money. You know what? You can actually look up how much money was made through certain dates. You can actually look up those streams, find out how much money they received on those streams. And like I said, yeah, the PayPal records and stuff, they're fighting desperately not to let anyone see that. And you know what, LP? That includes you. They desperately don't want you to know either. In fact, you said that they told you that essentially it was none of your business, that it'd be better for you not to know. In what world is it good for you not to know how much money somebody raises on your behalf? Oh, in the world where people decide they're going to keep your money. Of course. Of course. If they're going to ghost your money, of course they don't want you to know how much it is. But right in the beginning of the video, the flea admits they are already driven by the schoolhouse once while looking at town. Later, Flea and the bootlicker go by it 2 more times. They went by, turned around, filmed a second time. She announces that George is there, which contradicts what she said last night about the drive-bys. Yeah, it's a retelling now. Apparently, that reality that is on video where she says there's George, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. So we have wonderful video screenshots, talking about that time period back when too. And the money given, I mean, that's actually recorded as well. You can see, oh my gosh, David, 500 pounds, 500 pounds. Oh my God, David, whoop, thank you. Yeah, David, good job with that, buddy. By the way, oh, by the way, David, I went out today too. I still haven't found your PI. I've been looking everywhere for him. You know, like I said, I was going to tell him that he and I could come hang out. I keep saying that, but I never can find him. You know, it's funny when somebody becomes all talk when they say they're stalked. You would think that they would actually get that going on, but yet, it is weird though. Lots and lots of money. Lots of money through that. But you can see them discussing this whole issue through this post. In fact, if you want to go back, and I would challenge those people that listen to these folks all the time, like they're telling you the truth all the while. You can go back to the original video and check out what happened. But hey, what do I know? Now let's go over. Let's check out the police thing. I think this is a lot of fun. Give me 1 second. I'm locking it in here. Now, this is a really fascinating. This is video 2 in our discussion about what exactly transpired. Now, let me make this clear before we watch this. Sourcing, this again is used with consent, but on that, go and check out the original video. Give it plays for sure. And if for some reason, I don't know why you wouldn't be, but if for some reason you are not subbed to that channel, make sure you are. But let's check this out. I mean, this talks about what the police actually had to say on that day, which is something else. Here we go.
George is called to the stand in Ohio court. Oh, and why she's called to the stand, Fleesa is giving real-time updates in Bonehead's chat, and the judge is made aware of it, and she ain't happy. Ohio court was stressful. There's no doubt about it.
It's always very stressful.
And it's very long.
Very long. We knew it was going to be all day, which court started at 9. Typically ends at 4, but the judge needs time to catch up on things she needs to do, so she's not going to take it all the way through 4. But there was a brief lunch. It wasn't even a half hour. It was like 20 minutes.
So after Shara was called as a witness.
That's, by the way, funny enough, during break, they were trying to say, this is when the ThATs were saying that they were putting up information about what happened. So, again, their answer to who was leaking them information about what was going on real time, that doesn't compute, because they were putting up information before the break. Who would know about that? Well, Hales would definitely know about that, because I'm sure his inbox was flooded with that information right when it happened. So he could see, and again, people could look up that and adjust for, they could adjust for time zone, but not during break. In fact, they were like, oh, Shara's up. Oh, here comes, on top of it, now Hales is taking the stand. Yeah. Totally not told to you on a break, telling you after the fact.
In Ohio court, and then I was called as a witness in Ohio court. Both were cross-examined. We do take a lunch. Now, keep in mind, Lynette has been reprimanded multiple times already by the judge. We take a 25-minute lunch, and I finally look at my phone, and I'm getting all kinds of messages, literally all kinds of messages, that Fleesa is giving real-time updates of what's happening in court.
So now, just to make this clear, I don't watch these before you. I told you I won't watch them until we watch them live, because I want to react to what comes up in this. And that's exactly, I remember that day, and I can imagine how much people blow up Hale's phone or his devices, his email and stuff on that situation, because they were blowing my stuff up. They were like, oh my God, Tug, you will not believe what's happening. That's how I found out about it. I found out about it right in the moment. You know, I went over and I was told by several people. It depends on what platform. I had like Max Lab was one of the people on Twitter, and there were people on Facebook that were hitting me. Some people were, I mean, I had, God, 20 or 30 emails. So, you know, it was crazy because, you know, people were like, God, you got to see, you know, this stuff is coming up, and 2L, you know, is talking right now about this stuff. People are bringing it up in Mr. Coop's chat. So I went and I checked Ray and I checked Mr. Coop's, and I caught right there where she starts ghosting all of her comments. But when it was coming up, like aligning the time, and I asked in the aftermath, I've kept most of my questions. I know they have an active case, so I try not to ask things that I could accidentally repeat. You know what I mean? In an active case, you know, if there's something that could do harm, I try not to know about. So I don't even put the other person in that situation. But I did want to know about the timeline for that. I wanted to know about when exactly, you know, their breaks were, and to align it. And you could already tell, again, by her posts anyway, that she was talking about something in real time. But what I also found out was, yeah, they weren't on break. So the whole idea that she was being informed on break, the big problem with that is they weren't on fucking break. So whoopsie.
Boneheads chat while he's live. So the very first thing I do is I give it to Eli and I go, look, this is what's happening right now. Like, my phone is blowing up. Even Randy is messaging us going, this is happening right now. And Eli goes,
that's interesting. So there's a Crystal said, I was watching What You Doing Willis when people were saying the anti-what the hell's eco were commenting on live there. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty crazy that happened. So
we're going to deal with this after lunch. We're going to deal with this. So we have all the screenshots. Now, Feliso is giving real-time live chat updates of what was happening in court, and then she was deleting it after she found out everybody was taking screenshots. Yep. And it's all in the hands of you.
That's the thing too. I never understood. So these people, they're always whining that we take screenshots. People are always taking screenshots, right? And they seem surprised when people take screenshots. You know, there are always people watching. Always. And that's been one of the things I have to say that I've been impressed by, is there are people that they enjoy capturing the entire picture. So, you know, they can be not just informed, but they can argue it successfully. You know, they catch all the minutia, all the changing excuses, you know, all of the craziness. And I have to say props on that too. You know, but they complain all the time. I mean, right now, you know, they complain, for example, when you talk about everything that they do on lives right now, Facebook, you have most of it captured. You know, people like Allison, by the way, prompts. I always look through those, but she captures all of their discussion on this stuff. And just how stupid these people come across. You know, how they come up with the weirdest scenarios to try to excuse behavior. But the only problem is people have been watching this stuff happen real time.
And the judge has very clearly stated that there will be charges coming for the individual that's involved in this. So we get back into the courtroom.
Yeah, we get
after
back
lunch.
Yes, after lunch, and it was at 1:15 p.m. And I'm waiting in the lobby, waiting to be called as a witness. And so I'm probably waiting for about 10 minutes, no more than 15 minutes. And then
the reason why you're waiting is because Eli is handling this all with the judge, and the judge says, I'm going to restate that there will be charges to everybody on Zoom that's participating in any way, she restates it. Now, we have all the proof, and the judge has it now too, what Fleesa was doing in Bonehead's chat. And the judge restates it to everybody. She's stating it to Lynette and Cook, right? So really, she has to say it to everybody, but it's Crook and Lynette that it really applies to.
And I do recall her mentioning that as I'm at the witness stand, where she has to remind anyone caught doing this will be held accountable. She may have not used those exact words, but she got her point across.
She said there'd be charges.
Yes.
They will be held in contempt of court, and there will be charges coming.
Mm-hmm. So I do remember getting on the stand, and it was cold in the courtroom, and I kept my coat on. I even asked the judge, is it okay? You mentioned that I don't have a thyroid, and is it okay for me to keep my jacket on? And I said, yes. Is it okay if I keep my jacket on? And she's like, yeah, unfortunately, we can't control the temperature in the courtroom. And so
I can say, at least, you know, with the cold, you can put on, like the last time I was over in a courtroom, again, not in trouble, you know, in fact, wasn't the party, was the party there because someone else was in trouble, I will say. That courthouse was hot. And yeah, you know, it's just like winter time, right? You can successfully add on clothing, but in summertime, there's only so much you can take off before, well, you run into some law enforcement problems. So yeah, it's at least in the courtroom, I think I would rather go with cool though. But that's good. Like the way that they responded there, asking if you can do something, that shows deference to the court. And now you're saying, hey, I respect this place, and I respect the person in charge. Oh, by the way, I appreciate you all. They're 1,800. I was like, there is going to be nobody today. We have a time zone switch, so I'm going to confuse everybody today. You know, it's early. There's no way anybody's going to find the live stream until it's going to be a mess. And a lot of you have already found us. So appreciate you folks. By the way, if you'd like to help out the channel, if you enjoy what we do, consider supporting. Fun times there. I'm telling you, last night, God, those people they are so butt hurt about people laughing at them. They really hate it. That's good times. Here we go.
Attorney Eli starts direct examining me, asking me questions. I don't remember every single question. I was on the stand, but basically just explaining the video footage that I took of Lynette pulling out of her property, intentionally rolling the window down, communicating with me, saying so afraid, and then driving off. Had she just kept her window rolled up and went about her business, I would have never had to call Levy County Sheriff. I would have never had to take it to the Ohio courts. All I want is to be left alone. I don't want them communicating with me.
Yeah, that is this weird thing we call direct communication. If somebody is rolling down their window and communicating with you, how do you say that isn't direct communication? And then commenting on so afraid, it's mocking the fact that these people went and got a protective order. Like, to me, that's crazy, you know? They're mocking the notion that you have a protective order. But then again, they feel very, very confident that nothing will happen in Levy County. That's the biggest thing there. They feel protected. In this little bubble here, they think there are no consequences. And you know what? There haven't been. They haven't. There have been inconveniences, but there have been no actual consequences for behavior. So they've kind of been right in that, haven't they? Crazy.
I don't want them even looking in my direction. And so we played my clip, and then we played her clip, and we talk about how I got a hold of her clip because she too called Levy County Sheriff, turned in her evidence, and it was her video of her clearly rolling down her window, communicating with me, saying so afraid, and there's no passage.
So she turns in a video showing that she violated a protective order, and fucking Levy County did nothing. Like, imagine that. Imagine, again, there is no contact. It doesn't matter the reasoning. It doesn't matter what your excuse is. If you make contact with a protected party, your ass is supposed to get in trouble for it. Levy County's like, nah, the totality of the circumstances. There is no totality of the fucking circumstances in that. Excuse my language, but that drives me absolutely bonkers to hear. I swear, to hear that cops have said that. Well, you're not taking in the total. What totality? Again, here's the totality. You got a protective order. Some jackass decides they're going to mock a person there. Makes me want to put down the elbow smirk down, baby. By the way, thank you all. Appreciate you. I see you. I see you all popping up. Super chats, appreciate it. Like I said, we're up to 1,900 folks. I wonder if we'll break 2K. If we break 2, I'll be shocked today. We'll see. We'll see if it happens.
In her vehicle.
Now, this is what you should be thinking. Number one, Lynette's an idiot. She gave Levy County Sheriff evidence of her breaking and violating the civil protection order. Number two, you should be thinking she should have been arrested immediately.
Yes.
She literally.
Look, like I said, I've not watched this at all, but to hear this infuriates me. You have somebody that turned over evidence that they themselves violate a protective order. That drives me bonkers. What a bunch of, I mean, how in the world do police sit around and pretend that they serve and protect? Who are they serving and protecting? Their best interests? Because with their best interests, they should align with the citizenry. When they don't, when they find that they're, when they find that not only are they not serving and protecting, but they are being told not to enforce protective orders. I mean, again, something reeks in that place. I've said many times, I worry about these guys because I don't think Levy County will ever do anything to protect them. And if they ever have to protect themselves, I worry that Levy County will blame them for protecting themselves. And that's not right. You know, these little area, again, it doesn't reflect on the citizenry, but it definitely reflects on the corruption in the area, in my opinion. And there have been plenty of articles calling that place out. Plenty of them. Let's continue.
And this is dealt with Buttchamp and McIntyre on the stand. And it is going to be dealt with in federal court. We are pursuing, absolutely pursuing. They're violating our civil rights. But at this point in time, keep in mind, Lynette disappeared from Zoom. If you saw the previous video, Lynette is still gone. And the judge interrupts the questioning, says, Miss Preston is not on Zoom. And then she says, I've got 2 people in the back room. And then all of a sudden you hear screaming, there, now I'm here. And it's Lynette.
What in the world?
She just looks like a zombie. She is a hot mess. Zero etiquette. Something is wrong. Something is seriously wrong with that woman and that poor child. I just feel so sorry for that poor kid because she is just not mentally fit and never was. You ever meet somebody and just red flags just keep flying because something is off about that person? Well, that's Lynette. 100%.
So there's a pause then. And this, once Lynette is back on, the judge states there will be no recording, no broadcasting of any information, and any party will be found guilty. She already has the information. We gave it to her right before we started on the record again. And then we got more and gave it to her afterwards. Fleesa on Bonehead. Now they can both be held liable and criminal charges can come. And where's it coming from? I'm not broadcasting. She's not broadcasting. Eli's not broadcasting.
Indeed.
Justin's not broadcasting. The judge isn't broadcasting.
Remember, though, they blamed it on, could be the lawyer giving her information. I mean, it was astounding that they threw in an officer of the court. If I were that officer of the court, I would be pissed that they tried to use my, because again, let's just take that again. Did it go the worst way possible? No, but it could have. And that could have serious ramifications. If a judge decided, hey, maybe it was you, or maybe your clients, maybe you're not controlling them correctly, whatever, that could have blown up in his face. And she threw him in there as a potential, this is where my information is coming from. Like I said, when I heard that, I was like, no, that's not right. But you know what? A judge could take that seriously. And if a judge took that seriously, woe be it. Again, that could really cause a problem to somebody. I mean, I feel sorry for some of the lawyers that they draft in. If he loses this protective order, they will never shut up about him. They will talk about suing him and everything. He will go from a bulldog lawyer to, yeah, we need to sue him. We're gonna sue him for sure. They've been talking about that with all these lawyers. Again, you notice anybody that deviates from not the truth, but quote unquote their truth. I always hate that line, but liars love that. Their truth. Anybody that deviates from quote unquote their truth, they threaten.
The court reporter isn't broadcasting. It's Crook and Lynette.
It has to be
feeding the information. Is it from another device? Is it texting? Doesn't matter. It's illegal. And now Crook and Lynette will be held liable.
It has to be.
Will be held liable. And Bonehead will be held liable. I can't wait. I'm going to hand it over to you.
So we go over that video evidence, and no communication means no communication. Pretty sure that's how the protective order reads. Most protective orders read that way too.
Yes.
Later, you'll see that Buttchump and McIntyre agree with that too. But
see, that's amazing to me. So the police on the stand will agree with this, and yet won't enforce it. Like, imagine that. And they have the audacity to come to a courtroom and talk about it. I mean, that just, like I said, it all blows my mind. And to also pretend that Jeremy and George should not be allowed to talk about their own lives. They're not the ones with a protective order against them. That's the kicker in this. All of those things that the Levy County higher ups, they decided that they would try to put in place. Well, unfortunately for them, outside of the little seemingly corrupt area, a lot of people don't fall straight in line. So, yeah, when we'll see exactly what's thought about. Could you imagine telling a judge, yeah, I know you got a protective order here, Judge, and we know that there are violations, but we feel because this guy, he talks about things online that we don't have to protect him and we don't have to protect her. I always love the fact, by the way, that again, they always leave George out of it. They pretend, because it looks really bad when they talk about protective order. What they want to do is they want to use older, they want to use elderly, they want to use infirmed, they want to use indigent, they want to use all these buzzwords versus, this male, I mean, look at him, height and everything else, versus they leave out John Cook and they leave out George. because when you add that in, they know that the optics of that look really bad. The optics of the courthouse looked really bad, but the optics of any of that shit look really bad.
How they didn't.
We'll get there. It's the best part.
Funny how they didn't do anything about
so good.
it. All right. So then we talk about how third-party contact with other YouTube channels that do it for views and content and money, like Two Fleas in a Pod. We've got Michael Volmit, and then you've got Paint Chips, and then you've got, we didn't mention Bonehead, but those were the top 3 that were mentioned.
The best part, their lawyer, Justin, agrees that all of these individuals, it's on the record, he agrees that they're all doing it for monetary gain.
Yes.
He agrees. 100. He goes, I agree with you.
Wow.
It's on the record. I can't wait. Can't wait.
He names every single one of them by their name, knows that they have social medias. He's fully aware of exactly what we're talking about and the different ways of third-party communication that was happening. And so we addressed how...
That's amazing, by the way. Again, they agree that there are... all these people are out there. They're harassing, but... they're saying essentially the defense is that Lynette Preston is the patsy of these people. She is being used by them. And you know what? I agree to a point. And what I mean by that is this. I agree that Lynette Preston has indeed been utilized by these folks. But she is not, and she is a patsy in some ways, but she is she was a willing participant. It's kind of like this. You ever watch a movie where people come up with some crazy scam idea or some kind of a messed up notion where they're going to do something criminal and then somebody else plays them? That's how I feel like this is played out. These people have done some pretty nasty criminal bullshit. And they thought that everybody here, they were promoting their interest, which is really stupid when you think about it, because why in the hell would all these people come together, and why would they risk their freedom and more for Lynette Preston? Why wouldn't you ask more about that? Like, you know, for me, I would be curious about motives of somebody, again, like that. And their motives, again, they're not just covering a case. That would make sense. Covering a case, it's interesting. A lot of us find it crazy, but oh no, they are active participants in trying to burn down someone's life and livelihood. So, why? Well, personal enrichment. And they have a patsy. But that still doesn't make them a non-active member of all of this craziness.
Felisa is Lynette's PR voice.
Yep.
Regardless whether they're talking or not, she made it aware publicly that she was her PR voice.
Yeah.
Lynette herself even posted publicly that directing traffic to Two Fleas to listen to that side of the story, and that's her voice. We addressed the interview that Volmit did with Lynette and Crook, and how he himself took the time to email us to harass us and include the link. That's how we found out about the interview.
I hope they brought up, by the way, I'm curious, did they bring up the fact that Lynette Preston reposted the interview too? And when she's doing reposts and more, you remember, they're tagged into it. So that's her communicating. Tags, ads, hashtags, that is direct communication. And Lynette Preston is reposting that. That makes it direct communication. You know, it's digital communication, but it's considered to be the same thing if you're trying to mail or more. That is communication.
It wasn't for him emailing us, we wouldn't have known. And then we also addressed how The disbarred lawyer, who is a convicted felon, has made multiple threats towards Jeremy, mostly unaliving threats.
Yes.
Pause. Because at this point in time, the judge screams is the wrong word. The judge very sternly.
Very stern.
You know, like when you would come home, mom was kind of softer, dad would be stern, and dad would be like, you do it now, or very sternly, the judge says, stop moving your phone or I'm turning you off, to Lynette. Because she's listen, Lynette is as high as a kite.
Yes.
There is no doubt whatsoever. There's points where she's literally going.
Yes. I watched her take her tall bottle of pills and then she swallowed one on camera, and later you see her eyes like rolling and she's either falling asleep or just high as a kite. I'm gonna go high as a kite for sure. And then,
oh, by the way, I have a question, Miss Lynette. You can answer this publicly if you'd like. I heard an interesting tale about Subutex. You know Subutex? You know, and I heard a name associated with that. Now, I'm not going to rehash the tale itself, but I'm curious. Have you, Lynette Preston, do you have knowledge of that certain substance? And I'm curious too, do you have another person that brings it around, person that's spent some time in jail, I'm going to go with? You know, because I found that tale, I found it really interesting, let's just say. And I found it very believable from a person that didn't know anything about that medication. If it would have been somebody that understood that more, I don't know. But I heard this from somebody that did not understand that medication and how it worked at all. But I understand it very well. And I thought their tale was pretty interesting. So Lynette, would you like to talk about what exactly is going on with medication, Subutex, and more? Because I'm very curious about it.
and she tried to blame it on the child and that her phone fell down and that she was talking to she always blames the child. Always blames the child.
Oh man, look. 2,000 of you have made it here today, by the way. Almost 21. That's amazing, folks. Thank you. Like I said, I thought with the weird time zone and everything else, I was like, nobody's going to find this live stream tonight. But you folks have. I appreciate you all, by the way. Every time, you know, I never doubt you all. I doubt me because I do stupid things. Like I go out of my time range when I'm supposed to be. I forget to tag in video. I do all kinds of stupid stuff. So when I say that, it's not a doubt of you all. It's a doubt of myself. I'm like, man, Doug, you've done some stupid shit again. Let's continue.
And then, so then we talk about how Fleesa went live on her YouTube channel, drove past the old schoolhouse where we work seasonally all day long, looking for my vehicle, looking for me. What business does she have driving past the old schoolhouse if she was on Turd Purgatory helping them with their property?
That's what we call.
So they tried to warp that story, by the way. The 2L and the gang did. They tried it last night, and they tried to retell it in a way that had nothing to do with George here, except again on stream. She talks about, oh, George and this and that. I mean, she's driving around to stalk them. It's not to check out the place. She made it very clear. Made it very freaking clear. So it's so funny in the retelling. She's trying to sell now. Well, these people, they got some problems. Got some real problems. She also talked about how you retrieve video from security cameras. That was an interesting discussion, by the way, because what it sounds like is that you do indeed have access to Lynette Preston and John Cook's cameras. When you're talking about how video gets overwritten and more, yeah, that's a real interesting item to bring up. And it kind of it's like these people, they don't have anything new to say, so they talk about the same shit over and over again, and they catch themselves in lies. Liars, they lie. And if a liar speaks enough, they will contradict themselves, and they do. It's amazing.
Third party violation. Now, Fleesa likes to go out there and say, oh, somebody talked to Lynette. Say Tug. That's third party violation on Jeremy. There is no violation. I don't have a CPO on me. I can't violate something that doesn't exist. Lynette, on the other hand.
And I've never understood that talking point either. Lynette Preston contacts me. Lynette Preston wants me to help her put 2L in jail. Now, whose fault is that? Anyone out there? You're right, Jeremy, and it's somehow his fault. Make that make sense, folks, because I need it to.
Fleesa is on Lynette's property. Then, under direction of Lynette Crook, leaves the property. On the property, leaves the property, goes searching for us. Yeah, that's absolutely a violation. Broadcasting where we are, what we're doing, and then goes back to Lynette and Crooks.
Live from her channel.
Yep.
So stupid. And we have it all.
Yeah.
Well, they did it live.
So then we also talk about how I was made aware that Crook drove past the old schoolhouse the other day and pulled up into the driveway to film. He has every legal right to drive past on the public road, film if he wanted to, no problem. But the fact that he pulled his vehicle into one of our driveways, that's not okay.
Now, nobody knows this happened yet. So the day before court,
check this out, by the way.
I release a short.
I heard about this in pieces from the ThATs, and I was kind of curious about this because the ThATs started talking about how John Cook, if Jeremy has every right to film them, then John Cook has every right to film Jeremy, George, or the people who work for them or more, which is not correct, by the way. That is not correct at all. You know, you're leaving out the protective order portion. But I was very curious about this. And yeah, here's where that comes from. So check this out.
Video saying that Luthman just lost in federal case. We won in federal lawsuit too by default. Luthman didn't respond. Now, that shows that I'm clearly in Ohio. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I even say I'm here in my beautiful home in Ohio. I don't state where George is. So Crook, after knowing I'm in Ohio, goes over to the schoolhouse, pulls in front of the gate, and is filming. Twice he does this. 2 times. He has his hand out the window filming us. Now, Justin's going to ask George questions about this. How does that make you feel? Well, how do you think they feel? Who cares how they feel? They have civil protection orders against them.
Yep.
We don't.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes. He also asked me that, how would you like it if other people were driving by filming? And I said, we have plenty of people that drive by
all the time.
We're okay. They have every legal right to stay on the road and film.
They do.
They don't have.
That's part of going out and being known. People film you anyway. So to say, how does it feel? Well, it doesn't fucking matter how it feels because it is part of everything else. You know, I don't even have, I don't even use my name or anything else. But, you know, people, they got to know who you are. They got to know everything, you know, especially, and the people who following stuff. That's okay. You know, I don't really care. But there were definitely people out there that want to do that for nefarious reasons. But, you know, you learn early on, it is it doesn't matter if you want to be public or not, people are still going to do that. But especially if you're public, like the Hales here, oh, they're known. They get filmed a lot. So to ask them, what do you think about being? Do you really think that they have some in their mind that they think that they're going to not be filmed? By the way, I mean, is that what they think? Good Lord, that's the dumbest questioning there. What do you think about being filmed? Well, I think it's awesome. You know, I make a joke about it. I said, I supposedly remember I mean, they don't just stick to these folks. Like, again, some dude that paid a fortune to these people and got ripped out of it, period, got so butthurt. He keeps telling me I have a PI. I can't find the fucking PI. He must be the best PI ever because I can't find him, you know, but I'd really like to help grocery shopping. I could have really used some help grocery shopping from him. So I would have taken him with me today. But he's slacking, David. I actually hope that the PI is still like really, I hope he's at his house and he's like, yeah, dude's doesn't left his property. I don't know what's going on. I hope he suckered his money. I really hope there's a PI like taking his fucking donations or his money. But I think there's a lot of, I think it's more talk than stock. You know, and either way, at least don't act like a punk. You know, if you're going to threaten, like follow through shit. Anyway, sorry, that was my own tangent.
Civil stalking protective orders against them, and they're not third-party communicating. We have so many people that drive past.
Right.
They're not Lynette's PR team.
Indeed.
You see the difference here. And so he tries to get me to agree that us driving past our 70 acres to get to the old schoolhouse may be harassment for them. And I said, no, it's not. It's for our safety because they're known for brandishing firearms, and they've been recently open carrying, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
We film for our protection and our safety.
That is, you notice the open carry has only recently been happening. You've seen plenty of pictures with these folks. And while they may be carrying, they are making certain that people see that. And that is pretty messed up. In fact, I might even go as far as to say, with everything going on, that is a form of attempted intimidation too. You know, that they're trying to be like, yeah, look what we have. And we're coming for. I mean, there's been plenty of fucking people that have made some horrible threats, folks. So that's a funny Aussie wombat. Oh, that made me laugh. That made me laugh there. I thought this was funny. You know, due to the totality of circumstances, I feel compelled to donate these breadsticks. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, exactly. Look at that. Those are some wonderful titles. It sounds like I would come up with. Thank you all for being here. Like I said, I appreciate you all. I'm glad to see you all too. Today, I went out, like I said, to Walmart and everything, and you know, I've been trying to reacclimate. In fact, crazy enough, I've been so busy in the last 3 days that I have lost about 2.5 pounds just from fucking walking stuff. But it is definitely difficult. Walmart is a freaking blinding neon hell, and my God, trying to, I mean, that definitely, my eyes and stuff are like, oh my God, I hate this place, you know, but anyway.
And Eli asked me, do you ever post that online? And I said, no, I don't post it online unless they're violating the protective order, but we film for our safety and for our protection and for accountability.
See, that's the other thing too, I think is a very good point. They film while going by, sure. they've caught all kinds of stuff through filming. The difference is Lynette and them, they give that recordings of people just driving down the street, they give them to a third party and they play this shit just randomly. Again, I'm talking about they posted video of them driving down the road doing nothing because they said, oh, look, they're swerving over too. And you find out it's because the lens is fish-eyed. So it gives it a bow effect. So when it comes closer, toward the middle and then out, it looks like it turns towards it. But you can watch the tires and tell in the street, you can tell that nothing moves. But they record because, of course, you want to catch. Otherwise, remember, Levy County has said no recording, no nothing. Look, Travis just proved that recording something, recording yourself, recording what happens out there, it is integral, necessary. Travis, they called 911 on the dude when he was throwing fireworks. So, I mean, he proved you have to have that.
Do something that violates the protective order. And so he cross-examines. One of the questions that I found interesting that he asked me, because I had to explain that the 70 acres is 70 acres wide, and their acreage is like right there across the street, and that we have to drive past our 70 acres to get to the old schoolhouse. We also have to check on our 70 acres because there's been a history of meth heads vandalizing cameras. There's also been a history of meth heads stealing our drive-through sign, and there's also a history of hurricane damages. And so we're driving past our 70 acres from point A to point B, and
they're driving past it because it's theirs. Here's a wonderful thing in the US. I don't have to tell anybody why the fuck I do anything if it's mine, barring certain items, obviously extreme circumstances, but driving down the road and stuff, I don't have to explain to anybody. I don't live in a place where Terry stops or really, we have laws about all of that stuff. So even with the police, unless I'm doing certain things, I don't have to tell anybody anything. I certainly don't have to explain it to a group of weirdos that want to threaten my life like these people have done to Jeremy and George here. It's crazy that they feel the need, or they've had to, actually. It's not even feel the need. They have to explain in a court of law why they drive down the road in front of their own fucking property. Imagine a world. Like, again, that's pretty jacked up. Oh, well, while you're not scared enough. I mean, you do drive down the road in front of your property. What the fuck? Again, that's been one of the talking points from these people from Go too. Well, they're apparently not scared enough because they drive down the road right in the front. Yeah, it's right in front of their property. It's not Michelle and John's fucking road. Like, they act like they own that road. And that blows my mind, man. I'm telling, like I said, like with I would love to see like Tube Town to meet some of the people out there and stuff. Maybe one day, maybe. But right now, the way these people are, and I hate that. Like I said, I think a place like Levy County, I'm sure a lot of people that live there, they wouldn't want their fortunes dictated by these people here. They would actually like their communities to rebound, because they live in a I would say it's a dying area, but really, I mean, business has left and had been gone for a while. The people that remain, it would be great if you had an influx of capital to help in places like that, to, breathe new life there. Man, I said, I live in small town, where business is left. We had factories out here. Now, luckily, we still have a factory that keeps some of these areas open, but man, I know the same feeling. It's a terrible feeling to watch the places that you love, that you live, they fall apart. But hell, God, these people could be lifeblood to those areas. But the status quo, man, they try to keep it. Oh, it just blows my mind. All of this. This story is so interesting on so many levels to me. Anyway, let's continue.
Unfortunately, we have to drive past their dump.
Because they stalked us.
Yes. So then he asked, well, why didn't you guys buy that property? And I said, what property? He said, Lynette and Crooks. And I said, because we didn't know it was for sale. The moment we found out it was for sale was when she emailed us to tell us she's a super fan and just bought property across the street from us, and asked Jeremy if he could bring his tractor over to help them with a fallen tree because they can't get through the drive. You think he knew that?
What a question, though. Why didn't you buy that property? Because, you give them like a long answer. Well, I was looking at I was looking at stock from Microsoft. Just give a stupid answer. Go through it. What? Are you spending my money too? Do you have to buy the property across from you in order? See, this is a fried lesson, by the way, on what people have to, what you're expected to have to deal with, especially with like YouTube. It is the most insane thing I've ever seen. I dealt with, again, some of the most severely mentally ill people in the state of Tennessee, and it was a lot more structured. Those people were a lot more structured than the insane people that you run across on fucking line. It's crazy to be asked, why didn't you buy the property across so I could avoid this stuff? Well, you know why you don't do it? Because you don't really think that somebody's going to move across the street and stalk you. Would they have thought about buying an entire area? I think if they could hit rewind and do everything over, they probably would look for an area where they could own everything around them. But it's not a lesson that you think about. You move out to the middle of nothing. You don't think about some insane person moving across the road from you. What a question. Again, you remember that term victim blaming, by the way? I hear it all the time. Isn't this actual victim blaming? Why do you drive down the road in front of your property? Why didn't you think before these people moved out there and started making your life miserable, a hellscape, that you should have bought the property? Again, what in the hell? What kind of defense is that?
No. I'm glad he asked me that question, though.
He set himself up for failure so bad, not knowing the full history and the full evidence, and just listening to Deuce and Felisa.
Yeah,
he set himself up so bad.
Can you imagine? He had to be shocked, by the way, with this stuff, because I would love to have seen that, just because. This guy, I'm sure he was told, like everyone else, these people, they talk a big game. They threw money there. They talk a big game. They're like, oh, we got all this evidence. It's an easy win, and then you find out part of these things that they gave them, they're already litigated. I love this story again, if you did not watch the last video of theirs before this, you need to. The first one, this series is kind of amazing. It is, I have to say. It is kind of freaking amazing, because what you find out here is quite a bit on who's been mailing the lawyer, who tried this or that. Some of the stories, it blows my mind there. I love it. I kind of love it. Anyway, let's continue there.
He failed. He really did. He failed. He tried, but he failed miserably.
Yeah. Especially since he wasn't prepared. Like, had his own clients prepared him ahead of time, maybe he would have had better questions during cross-examination, but a lot of his cross-examination questions backfired because he got to learn a lot of things that he didn't know about his clients. And so He brought
you know,
up
they're
the
a
post
paycheck
office
to
incident.
no matter what, you know, guilty or innocent, he's still got a paycheck. So some of these places out there, you know, everybody deserves representation. Very much so. But there are places out there that they don't give a shit as long as they get paid. They'll represent anybody, right? And if they get convicted, I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, whoopsie. That's bad for them. It's not bad for the place itself, especially places that deal in volume. You know, win, loss. These places that take on like protective orders, for example. Protective orders, you can get a protective order fairly easily. It's hard to beat them, let's just say. So the reason I mention that is because that lawyer probably loses a lot of stuff too. May win some, but you know, they lose too. They lose as much as they win, I'm sure. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. They lose enough. I shouldn't say as much as they win. That's you know, I don't know their win-loss record, but I'm sure they lose. You know, anyone that deals in volume and deals in protective orders and stuff like that, they're definitely going to lose some. So I'd be curious on that. But, you know, they still got a heck of a payday. I mean, they got a $6,000. Now, they spent a lot more time on this case than I'm sure that they spend a lot of other stuff just because they have to deal with this assortment of losers. I would love to know what that lawyer thought of the assorted cast of losers that surround his client. Oh, wait, we found that out, didn't we, when he threw him under the bus?
Which they were found guilty.
Town Hall brought up Town Hall. And Eli objects and goes, listen, there's no need to rehash all of this. They've been found guilty of it all. And the judge goes, yeah, we're not going down this road again. They're already been found guilty. By the way, he tried jurisdiction with me. I didn't even mention that. Tried jurisdiction. Whoa, why didn't you get he kept saying, why didn't you get a civil protection order in Florida? And he goes, isn't it true you tried to get one there first and then Lynette went and tried and get one? And I went, no, that's not true at all. What's true is we sent a cease and desist. We were in Ohio. She kept persisting, kept breaking it. We then filed for a civil protection order in Ohio, where our residency is. Then we took the civil protection order to Florida in court
to try to domesticate it.
Judge ThATuMBRELLAgUY sealed it and denied it. We had never gone in before Judge ThATuMBRELLAgUY and ever, not once, tried to get a civil protection order against Lynette and Crook in the state of Florida before we tried to domesticate our Ohio civil protection order. Let me be very clear. We announced we're getting a civil protection order. We have a meeting at the court. Lynette, the next day, runs to Levy County Courthouse to try and get a civil protection order. We get a date the next morning for our civil protection order hearing ex parte. We are granted the ex parte. We are then in court and we are given the full civil protection order. Lynette continues to go to Levy County Court to try and get a civil protection order against me. She denied. Yeah. Until Judge ThATuMBRELLAgUY then approves it, temporary, and then he breaks the law. The appellate courts state he breaks the law.
Was that their alarm that went off? Was that them? that messed me up. I was like, is there something going off around me? I was looking for it. I was like, shit, do I have an alarm going off somewhere? I heard something go off. I was like, is that on this? You can tell you have good headphones on when you can't tell sometimes if there's an alarm on there. There's Jeremy's phone. It messed me up. I apologize for stopping there. But I was like, see, I watched the chat on my phone. So you guys are, you know, I have the device parked in front of me. Then I have my monitor. I don't like using where I've had that problem going on. It really messes with the right side of my vision and stuff. So I don't like setting up two monitors. You know, I can't keep it parked right in front of me. It's easy. So I use a monitor in front of me, and then I can look down and I can look at the chat on my phone. So I'm looking at my chat and I'm like, that's not That's not where it's coming from. Where the hell is it? I thought, oh yeah, it's probably on there. Oh Lord. At least I can say that the surround sound in my headphones is coming through really well.
Illegal activity. And then it's dismissed. Never did we ever try and get one in Florida before trying to get one in Ohio. We went to Ohio. We were in Ohio. We got it in Ohio.
Yep. We even have dates of when that happened, and it was after we got the.
Oh my! Hey, let me tell you something real funny, real fast. Okay, so my littlest daughter, I don't know where she heard that, not from here, but for some reason, we'd been playing video games like Fallout 4, places with wastelands, and every time we play it, she started saying, "You know where this looks like? It looks like Ohio." And I was like, "Ohio?" It's like, you've never been to Ohio. What are you talking about? She says that all the time. Like, it's the worst place on earth, Yeah, that reminds me of Ohio. I'm like, you've never been to Ohio, child. What are you talking about? Maybe it's just the word or so. I don't know, but it's really funny. She thinks Ohio is like some wasteland. I'm telling you, we're playing a video game like with freaking Fallout. It's like after, annihilation and devastation. And she's like, that's like Ohio. Or we're playing like zombie games. She's like, that's like the people that live in Ohio. What are you talking about, child? So random. Anyway, sorry. I had to throw that in there.
The Ohio Civil Stalking Protective Order, where we had paperwork notarized. We took it over to Levy County to try to.
If any of you live in Ohio, you should send a postcard from Ohio to her, to the P.O. box, or pictures. Yeah. Or, it would be really funny. Like, I'm going to start getting like random fake postcards anyway online, but if you could find if you find something that looks like a devastated place, you know what I mean, like some fake pictures, send it as a postcard to her and send it as greetings from Ohio. Oh my God, that'd be the funniest stuff ever. I'm definitely doing that myself. If anybody wants to join in, it'd be the funniest thing. Sure. She'll think that Ohio really is some wasteland. There's actually a big toy. Anybody that lives there, by the way, one of the biggest toy buying and selling things comes up there at the end of this month, I believe, and the end of October. I thought about going in October. I thought that might be fun to go. Might film down there. It might be fun to take the kids to. Although it'd probably be costly too. Yeah, see, blah there talking. Thanks for the VOD. Said, my husband is LEO, law enforcement officer. I had him watch and he didn't believe it was real. They really inserted themselves. What the? Yeah, exactly. And that's Levy County has, again, if you look it up, when I talk about, I have a very healthy disdain for any authority. I've grown up in small town, southern U.S. That's ingrained in your head. But there are plenty of good people that join up in these places, and I believe even in Levy County, there's probably good officers. But it sounds like they have a real leadership issue, and it's to the point. Again, I would encourage people to seriously look up Levy County, look up the problems that have happened there. Look at the national articles. Megan and myself, we covered some of that early on. And, the national average for prosecution of, say, certain types of crimes, let's say, is around 8%, taking it to court, Well, Levy County is only half that number. And Levy County has done some really messed up stuff. There was a woman that was, I'm going to say, ARPed there. Again, I'm taking and condensing a very complicated case, so I don't spend a lot of time on it. But just to make this point, woman there that was plenty of evidence, plenty. They plead this person down and not only give them a sweetheart deal, but they plead it down so much this person doesn't even have to register as a sexual, let's say, offender. That's Levy County. There has been so much outcry about that place that they have made national headlines about it. And the people that are mentioned in it are still in charge of these areas. Nothing has ever changed. Again, that doesn't reflect, I believe, on the, the individual there. Yeah, like, how do you change a system? For example, when John Cook was arrested, the officers there, they put into the report that he had lied, he'd done all this or all that. He sits in jail for a month and a half. And then the prosecutors there, they're like, he's probably going to try to say that it was stand your ground. Stand your ground against people driving down the road. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you kidding me? It's unreal. But that's Levy County. Apparently, and they've had some pretty nasty. I found a few videos from there too, with law enforcement. These are just, phew, baby. But anyway, let's continue.
Try and get this judge to take full faith and credit of our Ohio Civil Stalking Protective Order, and then he denied it and sealed it. It was open for maybe, I don't know, less than an hour.
That's
which reminds me, when she took you to court to try and get an injunction on you, which is a protective order, that is now sealed.
Isn't that
interesting? On the Levy County docket.
So Judge ThATuMBRELLAgUY involves himself in illegal activity and then seals it.
Yeah, of course. Of course, he didn't want anybody to see it.
Yeah, but the contempt charges are still out there, which I find odd. Anyways, so then he goes on to cross-examine.
They should not have the ability to hide anything from the fucking public. They're supposed to, what amazes me is when they embarrass themselves, then they'll hide something because for the victims,
And says, well, with them being, I testified that I see that they're interacting in the live chats and that they're cheering them on for doing that. They're not stopping the third party communication, line that and crook. They're actually championing it and encouraging it and not stopping it. And so
that's very good articulation of what's been happening, by the way. I think that's a good way. That's one thing I have to say with George, especially, like Jeremy sometimes will get heated, and I can only imagine George does a very good job, like out here articulating. And sometimes you can see like getting flustered with these people. God, I can only, it'd be really hard not to, but I can imagine on the stand, she would do very well.
He stops questioning me, cross-examining me, and then Eli comes up and he does more examination. And I don't remember all the questions. And then her attorney asks me another set of questions again. And then Eli comes up and asks me another set of questions again. And then he comes up and asks me another set of questions.
And the judge is even like, listen, where are we in re-examination? This is out of control right now.
And then finally he's like, I rest
That's
my
weird
case.
with redirect going that many rounds.
So then my testimony ended at 2:10. And again, I was brought in maybe at like 1:25, and I was up on the witness stand until about 2:10. So since I was able to testify as a witness, then I could stay in the courtroom, and that's when my notes kick in. And so
I like that you
judge
have
asks,
two sets of notes.
Their attorney, are there any other witnesses that need to be called? And he says, yes, my first witness is McIntyre.
Hilarious. Now, there's some things that go on before that. There are some significant things that go on before that, before McIntyre actually takes the stand. And I apologize.
Yes.
We got to rewind a little bit, and I'm working a little bit. It's been an intense day. So Lynette leaves again, literally leaves again. And then she comes back, and everything George is witnessing or giving testimony on, Lynette's going. Then she gets the straw. I cannot get this image out of my.
That's why in a courtroom, I'll tell you, what you do is you bring yourself a notepad. Look, you don't take a phone or something. You bring a notepad. It looks like you're taking notes the entire time. You can draw, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but you're not sitting there and even like if you disagree with what's being said, you don't want to come across as doing anything inappropriately. So look like you're taking notes. It helps if you really are taking notes. Like for myself, I actually would take notes, but if you can't, if you don't, at least bring one and pretend to take notes. But, you know, don't look and shake your head and act like a fool the whole time.
Mine. She starts slurping on that straw like Fleesa slurps on chicken skin. I swear, the jaw action, the lip action, I will never get that out of my mind. It was horrible. It was full into it.
She probably has cotton mouth from all the pills that she's popping.
It was sick. It was so sick what she was doing to that straw. I mean, it was.
You can't unsee it, that's for sure. I mean, you guys saw it during her deposition. He ain't lying.
Okay. Here's the other thing she's doing. Again, I believe 100% she's high as a kite. She has a pad, and you can see it in the actual. And I'm leaning in, and I'm watching while she's up on the stand. And so she's drawing a picture up here, and then she writes, "God grant me." And then it goes off screen.
I wonder how many typos.
And then she comes back and
I wonder how many misspelling and mistakes. You know, God, that's got to be something to read.
Over God grant me, and then she goes down the line to accept the things. My apologies there.
I thought that was mine again.
Now I realize what she's writing out. The prayer, all right, the serenity prayer, but accept the things, and then the next line, and I can't make out what she writes. Now I know the prayer, but I don't know that she knows the prayer. I mean, she misquotes literally everything, and I can't make out. So what I see is God grant me, one line, accept the things, next line, can't make out the next word, two, and then she just keeps tracing over it, over and over and over again, while she's literally putting such a hurting on that straw in my mind. The action in the camera was sickening.
Zero etiquette. She's just a disgusting
Oh,
person
it was
in
bad.
general. I mean, are you surprised? Does it shock you?
It was bad. It was beyond bad.
I know you can't unsee that.
It still hurts.
And you'll probably have nightmares.
I'm scared to go to sleep tonight. Really am.
I'm going to try and cure that.
Just hold me.
Would you have rather seen that or Fleesa on the screen?
Neither. Neither. Sickest things in the world. All right. You do get to stay afterwards because the reason why all the witnesses are separated is so that one witness can't taint the testimony of another witness. Separation. So you don't want one going, oh yeah, what she said or what he said, which I thought was really funny because Justin kept screwing up so bad. Well, Jeremy gave testimony and said this and George wasn't in there for that. Why are you going to ask George about the testimony that I gave? She's not even in there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So Eli had to object. I've even said, I don't follow you. I wasn't in here. Like he brought up videos that were shown like I wasn't in here.
So previously we showed a video.
Like,
she's like, I wasn't here. I didn't see. So in that video, she's like, I didn't see what happened. I wasn't here. Now, meanwhile, Fleesa is giving full details live on Bonehead's live stream. And
I do have a question. Is she stupid or is she just dumb?
Both.
Well, who does that? She's just throwing herself under the bus, and she's throwing Lynette and Crook under the bus.
Yeah.
She's going to prison. She can do whatever she wants.
Here's the thing. They don't care, because who are they damaging? Well, they're really damaging potentially Lynette Preston and John Cook. So they don't give a shit with that, because ultimately, they've shown they don't care about consequences, especially, I mean, if those consequences are going to hit somebody else. So, I mean, it amazes me sometimes. It amazes me to pretend that you're trying to help out someone, and yet you do more potential damage to them than anything. Like for myself, I have like I said, I have a rule about, again, these people, if they wanted to cover this and argue about shit, that's all fun and games. You can have to do whatever, but to go after people's advertisers and more, to make yourself part of something, what? Why? Why would you do that? Maybe 2L, maybe the reason they like folks like Paint Chips and Vomit is because they have a lot more in common than people give them credit for.
I mean, a lot of people pray for that.
So George is done.
So yes. So then the judge mentions how there's someone in the back room as iPhone user in the Zoom waiting room, and asked, "Please identify yourself or you will be removed." And she said it's a guy in a plaid shirt. And
we're going, Russell Meeks, which Russell Meeks does show up in the back. And again, who cares? His testimony, Tina Haley's testimony, is completely irrelevant. It will be booted out. Russell Meeks' testimony, completely irrelevant. It will be booted out. Has nothing.
So he shows up, but he doesn't end up testifying. That's interesting, isn't it?
To do. This whole case is about Lynette and Crook violating and breaking the civil protection.
That's just bizarre. So Russell Meeks showed up for the first portion, but he doesn't show up and actually testify.
Orders.
Correct.
Russell isn't a witness to any of that. He'll be booted. Tina isn't a witness to any of that. She'll be booted. But God, thank you that we got Butt Champ and McIntyre. Oh my goodness, I can't wait.
We were really hoping that they would show up,
and
lo and behold, they showed up. So then he didn't identify the guy in the plaid shirt who was Beecham, didn't identify himself, so she put him back in the waiting room. She said, "You didn't identify yourself. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room."
And we didn't know who it was, and I was like, she just said Russell Meeks. It's got to be Russell Meeks. He wears denim, buttons, button down. No, it was Butt Champ.
Oh, it was Butt. Okay.
You can't make
it was Beecham.
Judge says.
I thought Eli, there was a Russell Meeks show. I was like, oh shit.
No, Eli was only calling Shara, myself, and George. That's all we need.
Yeah.
And the incriminating evidence is just overwhelming. It's just huge. At one point, I was asked, how many terabytes of evidence do I have? This is a. How many terabytes is this right now? This is
5?
No, it's way more than that. It's way more than
Let me see.
This entire external hard drive is filled with evidence, and I think this is like a 32. I think it's 32 terabytes, and to the point where I told the court we would never ever be able to go over everything. We would never leave this room. That's how many times they have violated, and it's true. And Eli goes, at this point, we rest our case, which then turns things over to Justin. So now Justin gets to defend the case, and he goes, I'd like to call couple sheriff. Okay. Please, this is the day we've been waiting for. Like, we could not wait for this. It was going to be insane, and it did not disappoint by any stretch of the imagination. So we still don't know who the guy in the plaid shirt is, which now you do know. It was Brett Buttchump. And McIntyre comes on first. McIntyre is in a patrol car. He's obviously working, and he's on a cell phone.
Don't you love? Don't you love that? By the way, on the taxpayer dime, out there, trying to talk about the people that he decided not to protect while on the dime of that. It just blows my mind. Oh, what a way.
Over to Eli, and I was like, listen, this guy has no credibility whatsoever. This guy's a cake decorator. He spent more time decorating cakes at a grocery store than he has in law enforcement. So Eli asked McIntyre, how long have you been a deputy? He says, 5 years. And what do you do? I oversee daily activities of officers in the county.
No, wait, before you said Eli asked him, actually Justin asked.
Oh, I'm sorry, Justin.
Because it's his witness.
Yeah. So Justin gets to ask the questions, then
Yes.
Eli gets to
Cross-examine.
Yeah. And Justin goes on to say, how many incidents have been reported by Jeremy Hales? And he goes, Jeremy Hales consistently reports incidents. And he goes, I have never found Lynette or Crook in violation of any law. And he goes, well, why not? And he goes, because the statutory requirements were never met. He goes, okay. So let's talk about January 19th, 2025, CPO violation. That's where Crook double flicks me off. Okay. So I drive by, minding my own business. He turns around, flicks me off, goes straight up his back, flicks me off. And he goes, why wasn't Crook arrested then? And McIntyre goes, there's no probable cause of a violation. And he goes, and he goes, in my opinion, Jeremy Hales is just trying to elicit a response.
And that is 100% communication. If somebody flipping a person off, that is protected speech. You realize that, like with police. So, when it's brought up. So typically that's protected, as offensive speech, but nonetheless. But a little caveat there. When you're under protective order and you're communicating with a party that's, has a protection order against you, that is speech. And while you can make those statements and be offensive, you cannot do that to a protected party. That is fucking, it's fucking ridiculous.
In all circumstances, and he's doing it for YouTube money. So in other words, Levy County Sheriff has shown, number one, they're completely and totally biased. You get this? Jeremy Hales is filming this for money. John Crook completely and totally violated the civil protection orders. McIntyre says, I didn't arrest him because Jeremy Hales is doing this for money. Jeremy Hales didn't say anything to John Crook. I drove by filming. John Crook turns around, double flicks me off. I keep driving. I report the incident. They do nothing. Every incident that we have reported and have taken into court in Ohio.
That's wild when the police are saying that this is the reason things happen. It shows you that you will, again, they would let you get killed in that area. Levy County deserves to be called out. They will get, another thing, as we have seen in many cases throughout the U.S. and on, police get really butthurt when they get called out too. Again, I watch some of the channels like Lackluster, for example. I like Lackluster. I bring them up a lot, but I like them. I like them quite a bit. And Lackluster was reporting on something in a video, and instead of looking into the wrongdoing in the videos that end up going viral, this one did, by the way, instead of looking into that wrongdoing, they started investigating Lackluster and seeing if they could put Lackluster, the guy behind it, in jail, because they were trying to say that he people contacting and complaining about this viral video in which someone's rights were violated. It was his fault. He was eliciting these responses. So, it's this butthurt reaction, and you see it. And they act that way with Hales, He calls out their inaction, and they're like, yeah, screw him. Let anything happen. Anything goes with him. And remember, is that a human response? Yes, but that is not a law enforcement response. If you can't handle criticism, then you don't need to be a fucking law enforcement officer. You don't need to be a prosecutor, any of these things.
Lynette and Crook have been found guilty. Yet Levy County somehow has done literally nothing. Now comes cross-examination, and Eli rips McIntyre apart. Absolutely rips him apart. Says, you're aware of the CPO, correct? Yep, absolutely. And he goes, you're aware, which one were you on call when a violation when Jeremy reports it? And he goes, well, you know, Jeremy Hales said that John Crook flicked him off, gave him the middle finger. And Eli goes, well, okay, well, you saw the video. And isn't this also true that you can take eyewitness testimony? And he goes, yeah, but the only eyewitness was Jeremy Hales. He goes, is Jeremy Hales an eyewitness to what happened? Yes, he is. Oh, okay. So you have a video proving what happened, which is very, very condemning. There's no question what happened. And Jeremy Hales told you what happened, yet you didn't arrest. Why didn't you arrest? Huh. And he goes, well, I didn't see that he was communicating with the middle finger. And Eli goes, so let me ask you this. Is communication allowed with the civil protection orders? McIntyre goes, no. He goes, would flicking the finger off at somebody, would that be communication? Yeah. McIntyre goes, yes, that's communication. Then why didn't you arrest him? He goes, well, I didn't know what he was doing. Maybe he was scratching his back. Maybe he was adjusting his shirt. And Eli goes,
he's adjusting his waistband.
Oh, waistband.
Oh, my God.
By the way, the video is very, very, this is John Crook in the video, turns around, does this, and turns back around. His hands are up here, 2 fingers go up. And he never touches any part of his body, never scratches any part of his body. And Eli...
Again, they have openly declared, even in a court of law, that they just don't give a shit. But that's amazing. Oh, maybe he's adjusting his waistband. Oh, my God. That's amazing. Here's the question you have to ask. Would they consider it adjusting their waistband if Jeremy Hales would have done it and this was reversed and John Cook had a protective order? There's where your real question comes in. And I think you know the answer to that. That tells you there's a problem.
Plays this for McIntyre over and over and over. And McIntyre lies and spins and spins.
So he's making that.
So would you agree?
So he's playing, you know, he's looking at that and he's defending Cook. Now you have to, you know, obviously they're defending their own actions, but at the same time they're defending John Cook. Now why would they do that? Huh? You have to ask yourself that too. You know, when people are acting like that, why? You know, if it's just one asshole, okay, but when it's a whole party of these people. Well, then.
That John Crook looks at Jeremy Hales as he's driving by. McIntyre goes, yes. Would you agree that he turns around as Jeremy Hales is driving by? McIntyre goes, yes. Would you agree that Crook is not adjusting his waistband?
Or scratching his back?
McIntyre's answer is, possibly not. Literally, that's his answer. Possibly not. There is no question whatsoever what Crook did. Possibly not. Would you agree that his upper and middle back, that the fingers went straight up to his upper middle of his back into his shoulder blades? And McIntyre goes, yes, they were all the way up to his shoulder blades.
An intentional gesture.
Would you agree that finger going up is an intentional gesture to another individual? And McIntyre goes, yes, that's correct. Did you see the sign that said OCC? Now, keep in mind that this has already been contested in court, and Crook has been found guilty for creating Otter Creek Coward, a Facebook page, which he then claimed he gave to another individual. Yes. And he's been found guilty of that in stalking, harassment. And so he put OCC, Otter Creek Coward, in a sign, which that was reported as well. And he goes, yeah, I saw that. That's correct. And he goes, reports... Now, did Jeremy Hales report it? Yes, he did. And did Jeremy Hales make any statements to John Crook? Well, no, he didn't. Well, hold a second. You just said that Jeremy Hales was eliciting responses for YouTube money from John Crook. Yet you just told us that, number one, John Crook never touched his waist. He turned around. He made eye contact with Jeremy Hales. He turns around. Then his fingers go up in between his blades after you said that he was adjusting his waist strap. And Jeremy Hales made no communication whatsoever. Yes. Would you agree that you had instructions from your supervisors not to enforce the civil protection orders? would you agree that you got an email from the state attorney saying don't enforce? Would you agree that you've been instructed not to enforce? Wow. Mac and Liar's answer: I'd have to view the files.
He says he does recall receiving an email.
Hold a second.
Oh.
So he recalls receiving an email.
Wow.
And he has to he has to review the files. Oh my goodness. Guess what? They just handed it to us.
So there is a fucking email that look there. So if he admits there's an email, remember the email that they have on hand is not the same thing. There's another email out there that has been discussed that they haven't turned over. They have been holding on to. And that's a real problem for them, especially if you have an officer that recalls an email talking about this. Well, where the fuck is that email? We haven't seen it. Again, we saw the undersheriff, the communication, that email, but the other email, well, that's that's amazing. That is absolutely freaking amazing.
For a federal case, there's files.
He starts backpedaling.
Oh,
he
man.
starts backpedaling like this because Dan Owens' name got brought in. Oh my God.
Oh no.
Idiots.
Why? See, that's what I was saying. Why would they open themselves up to this? Like, there is nothing that can be gained for Levy County for opening themselves up to this kind of scrutiny. Levy County itself, they are in the midst of you have, again, Dan Owen, that lawsuit. You have the sheriff potentially being sued as well, and what do they decide to do? Instead of be quiet, shut up like normal people would, they go to court in another jurisdiction and try to fight a protective order. They try to shield for the person that the aggressor, not the aggrieved. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard of.
He remembers, oh my gosh, he starts backpedaling and then explains how there was verbal and email communication with the state's attorney's office, who was Dan Owens, on the decision on enforceable actions between Florida and Ohio. Oh my God. That moment was great.
That's crazy.
And literally handed it over to us and said,
that's crazy.
Yep.
How stupid of a cake decorator can be.
My God, that is freaking, because all of that right there is usable. This is what I was saying. Every one of these things that they do, even if in the worst case scenario, even if the protective order was not extended, that right there is a massive bombshell. The stuff that I heard the other night, the teaser for the Bruce stuff, that and other litigation is a massive bombshell. These people, they take something small. Like the protective order is something that, again, I don't even understand why they are involving themselves. And they potentially open up the county. They open up individuals for lawsuit. And it's amazing to me.
Held accountable in court. So Eli then goes on to say, was there a debate between the state attorney and the sheriff office in regards to how to enforce this, to enforce it? And he agrees, yes, there's a debate.
There's a debate.
And he says, well, if there was direct communication, since you've obviously seen the civil protection orders, would you agree that direct communication is a violation of the civil protection orders? He goes, yes, absolutely. Eli goes, would you be surprised if we have video of Lynette directly communicating with George?
And you said nothing at this point.
Oh, I got it. He said, honestly, at this point, nothing would surprise me.
Career,
and he goes, I can't testify in regards to that. Now, The video that we have is what Lynette gave the Levy County Sheriff Office of her communicating directly with George, and they did not arrest her, and the judge is seeing it all unfold before her eyes.
That's amazing, man.
Eli says, did you speak to Crook? He goes, yeah. What did Crook say? And Crook said he was scratching his back.
Holy shit.
He was stretching.
Yeah. I wish I could get away with
Eli says to McIntyre, you see him stretching in this video? We can play it again. Let's play it again. Well, we're going to play it again for you. You know, I'm going to slow it down for you this time.
Oh, shit.
McIntyre goes, well, his definition of stretching and my definition of stretching may be different than your definition of stretching. I'm pretty sure there's no definition of stretching when you turn around and you double flick off somebody.
I think there's a universal definition.
Let's look at it again. Does it
My God.
collaborate what John Cook told you?
I can't wait for the transcript of this
wrote
stuff.
In your report.
We are going to have a
and
fun time with
McIntyre
it.
states this. It can. Wow.
These people are embarrassing, man.
Oh,
Levy County and stuff. Good God.
I literally cannot believe what I'm witnessing and what they're handing us over, which is going to be one of the biggest lawsuits in the history of Levy County. They better get their act together. They will have nothing.
Well, they're telling
when this is all over.
They're telling them, though, that they are going to refuse to enforce a protective order. There is no world in which that is okay. You know? No world in which a prosecutor can step up and be like, well, I don't think we should enforce this because you're not fucking fillings enforcement. You're law enforcement. You know? Holy crap.
Insanity.
I was waiting for Eli to say, does what you just saw in the video corroborate with what Jeremy testified to see what his answer would have been?
Eli was getting so frustrated because McIntyre was just trying to save his own butt and it was running and spinning in circles. So Justin comes back over for re-examination or cross-examination. It's examination, cross-examination. He gets to come back. Eli gets to come back. And Justin says, I believe there was a temporary protection order on Jeremy Hales, wasn't there? And McIntyre says he's made several attempts, but all have been denied. Let me be extremely clear. This is one of the biggest lies in the world. There have been no attempts, not a single attempt in Florida to get a civil protection order. There was an attempt to domesticate our Ohio civil protection order in Florida, which Judge Grudge denied and sealed while we were in court with Lynette.
So how would
That's it.
How would McIntyre know that? What proof does he have that you applied for it several times? It's hearsay. At this point, it's hearsay. And he's probably basing it off of what Lynette told him or Beecham.
Can you imagine McIntyre in federal court?
You better show up with the cake.
The only dumber person was Butt Chump.
Oh, it was bad.
Oh my goodness.
I can't believe he's even the undersheriff. How did he get to that point, to that title?
Well,
listen, I sat in one Sunday school class with him and realized in a heartbeat that this guy ain't okay in the head. This guy has no clue. What
small towns, doing. Baby. Small
so
towns.
Guess who Plaid Shirt Man is in the background? It is none other than Brett Beecham, the undersheriff, who we like to call Butt Chump, because he makes such a butt out of himself, and he did not disappoint.
What an idiots, man.
So he's asked, what is it your role? I supervised office staff. Were you made aware of hitman allegations? And he goes, yeah, allegations were made. Now, here's the important thing here. 2 different reports of a hitman were made. One by somebody overseas that contacted us, and then we were at a county meeting and a report was put into our hands and they did nothing. And then we forced them to do something and report it. And they told us, nope, nothing wrong there. And they asked us not to talk about it again, which we haven't. The second one, which nobody is talking about, is Shara contacted them and said, Lynette and Crook are looking to get a hitman to kill Jeremy. And they ignored her. So they want to keep focusing on the one that was the overseas guy.
So the Shara thing, isn't that amazing? Shara, we find out, contacted Levy County, told them that they're talking about getting a hitman. And they ignored it. They didn't respond. They never followed up. According to this, they never followed up with Shara. That means they never investigated it. I mean, that's insane. That tells you, again, they're okay with the worst playing out for these folks. I mean, like I said, imagine someone coming in and saying, these people are thinking they're talking about hiring a hitman. And they're like, well, could be worse. I mean, it's fucking crazy. I feel like I've stepped into the Twilight Zone, man. This stuff's nuts.
That contacted us and sent an email, and then their office secretary, bald dude, you remember his name? Tummins. Oh yeah, Tummins. He puts it in my hands. They keep referring to that. They're all neglecting what Shara contacted them with.
That one husband swept under the rug.
He's asked by Justin,
that blows my mind.
Why haven't Lynette and Crook been arrested? And
wait, can I say something?
You're going to no matter what. Okay, so you might as well.
So when he gets on the screen in his plaid shirt, it looks like he's driving.
And the judge says, "Are you driving?"
And the judge asked him, "Are you driving?" He goes, "No, ma'am." And then the car starts moving and driving. So is he lying to the judge, or is he a passenger? Because he's clearly driving in a vehicle.
That's funny.
Okay, so you can go ahead.
Why haven't they been arrested? He goes on to say there's been no knowledge of probable cause of violations. Okay. He goes, have Levy County Sheriff ever seen anything like this? He goes, no, this is pretty unusual. And he goes on to state, just like McIntyre did, that these complaints come from Jeremy Hales because he's generating social media traffic to my own benefit, to Mr. Jeremy Hales' benefit. In other words, he completely and totally, yet again, showed his bias, believing the ridiculous.
Hey, here's a different question. Whose narrative is that? Is that narrative a narrative that they were told by someone else and they decided to attach to? Or is it a narrative that they themselves created and they've helped disseminate down to these people who are repeating it? Are they the source of the quote unquote polyflop? Are they the original source of that? Or, like I said, have they had a certain bird chirp in their ear enough, and these low IQ freaking backwood potatoes, they're just chirping it back? Makes you wonder, makes you wonder which came first, the deuce or the butt jump. That sounds really bad. Anyway,
of this is about making money on YouTube, except we have legal civil protection orders.
Yes, and a public records request was made. Lynette has called at least 100 times.
Yep.
If you count up the number of times that Jeremy has called to make a complaint, it's definitely not 100 times. They forget to point that out too. That line between Lynette and Crook, it's been over 100 times.
Shows his bias. Levy County Sheriff will do nothing for us. They go, he's a YouTuber, northern YouTuber in an interracial relationship. We ain't doing nothing.
I believe
that his title is undersheriff and legal advisor, and that he's had 28 years total of experience. He was a deputy from 96 to 2004, and then became the undersheriff.
Can you imagine what these mofos have allowed to happen during these times? If you see something like this in these small towns, especially pre-video, Can you imagine how law enforcement or the lack thereof, how that went over? If you were one of those quarrelsome individuals, like again, Jeremy, one of the things that's really good for him is that we live in a digital age, because I do believe that him being an outsider in a community like that, like I said, I've lived in many small town southern places, and words like, I joke around with like Megan Fox. I use words like carpetbagger, but people in these towns and stuff, they mean that. A northerner popping in to a small southern town, people in an interracial relationship, oh yeah, it could very well. I mean, you saw how Lynette them, they communicated about these guys here. And that, I wonder sometimes if those kind of statements, those pretty nasty vitriolic statements, if those resonated with some of these small town, these these mental pancakes. Gotta wonder, man, I must be hungry. I'm calling people potatoes and pancakes. I need to make me some food out of this.
For 2013. How he got that role, I have no idea.
He's then cross-examined, and Eli puts him in his place so eloquently. Good. I'm sitting there, I'm going, get him, Eli. And I whispered to Eli beforehand, I was like, you need to destroy this man in preparation for federal court. And Eli goes, I got this. He goes up and he says, what's probable cause? You keep talking about probable cause. There's no probable cause. Would you define probable cause as a reasonable, he goes, as a reasonable individual sees that a crime? And he goes, no. Probable cause is reasonable for a law enforcement officer to believe that a crime is being committed and being committed by the suspect. That's what probable cause is. And he goes on to say, are you aware that there are civil protection orders from Ohio in regards to Lynette Preston and John Cook? He goes, that's my understanding. Have you read them? Yes.
Well, he said not recently. I haven't read them.
He said not recently, but yes, I've read them in the past. And he says, you are aware that they must not communicate and be within 500 feet of Jeremy Hales and George.
It prohibits them.
He goes, I believe. And he goes, you also know that it states that wherever they're at, if they are there at the same time, no matter who's there.
Oh my God. Does that mean you heard his, I believe, does that mean I get to, use my really fake Southern drawl? Oh man. Oh, so good. So good. When we read that one, I'll get to throw that in there. I never get to use this one. Oh my Lord. I seriously though, these people, like I said, I've lived around towns like this throughout my life, places like Cottontown, little bitty places. Ridgetop, Tennessee, with the whole police force at the time when I knew people out there. They had a police force of 3. Amazing moments. Now I liked their police, by the way, but they were very, if you knew them and if they liked you, they let you do whatever you fucking wanted. We did a lot of crazy stuff. We goof off and do all kinds of fun things, but if they didn't like somebody, well, you'd see that too. So, I've seen that firsthand. Now, I've seen small town mentalities. Oh, I just can't imagine some of it. But these stories, like, they resonate on a different level, I think. They don't resonate on like a movie level, like some people. They resonate on I've lived there and seen this level. And it's a game with outsiders. A lot of this, especially the corruption apparatus. Yeah, there's people in positions of prowess and power, and they don't want to give that up, and they won't. you know, and they definitely don't like, you know, when Hale talks about being outside. Oh yeah, that's exactly how they feel for real. And as far as the you may think, oh man, it's 2026, dude. Interracial relation, oh yeah, still a problem. You know, they still look at it that way. That racist stuff, it still exists. It's crazy, you know, and it's not a reflection on it's not a reflection, I should say, on the citizenry, but it is the reflection on many mentalities that are in those places. How dare such and such tell me what to do, you know? How dare they?
First, it doesn't matter. They have to leave
immediately.
He goes, I believe it also states that. And he goes, oh, okay. So when they were parked outside of town hall, and
I like that. That's a great super chat. And no, you shouldn't. I saw that. So you're saying, Tug, that I shouldn't move to Georgia or the Carolinas and say that my great grandfather was part of Sherman's March to the Sea? Okay, got it. No. Did I ever tell you all about the here? You want a crazy story here? I'm going to keep it very short, but I can tell you a more lengthy story about this later on if you'd like. I went to a yard sale one time. A person was cleaning out all the stuff that their like grandfather, great grandfather owned or whatever, and they were selling. They wanted to sell like these steamer chests that were full of just different items. They couldn't get one opened though, and they were asking somebody I knew for help. So they go out, you know, we didn't know these people at all, but they were having to sell. This guy I knew, like he said, he could open this thing, he would do it for them, and some other stuff. He'd move some things for them, you know, they're essentially contracting him. So he busts this thing open, and inside of it, I kid you not, like pulled it out. At first, I thought it was funny because my friend was like, it's full of linen. Why would your grandfather, great grandfather, whatever this guy was, why would he have all this linen? And they pull it out, and this linen has eye holes in it. He's like, wait a minute, that's not linen. That's a Klan hood. Oh my God, your grandfather, great grandfather, whatever. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be a very good person. And some of the stuff, man, good God, I was like, my Lord. Oh, but I mean, it just shows you you're not very removed from these things. Not at all. So some of these small places, again, I'm not saying anyone is part of something in that, but it just shows you like the mentality is not that far now. And the reason I say it that way too is you got to remember, like most people think like these groups, they're about the color of your skin, and that's part of it. But what they don't like any difference at all. Long hair, they don't like it. You know, like somebody from the outside, they don't like it. You know, and you get responses to it, and it's pretty awful. Like some of the histories of places, you know, Tennessee, by the way, like Tennessee has a very bad history of some of that stuff. So, but all like little towns, you'll find their little hatreds that they keep in those boxes in the freaking in their attics. It's crazy. Kitty Pants says your southern accent is not much different than, yeah, it's really slow. That's I slow it down even more. Like I have a southern accent that with this twinge of how would I say this? The nicest way I could say is self-assured. I could say like asshole comes across sometimes. Self-assured as maybe all of it. I don't know, but it comes through, you know, for sure. I had one of my friends was like, you know, he's a northern transplant. He was like, you know, I can hear your southern, but I also hear your condescending asshole that comes through when you speak. You're like, well, you know, it does. I guess it does. Oh, I love it. Anyway, let's continue.
And if they were parked outside of town hall and then George shows up, they would have to leave, right?
Yep,
right. That would be a violation. They would have to leave. Oh, so if Lynette offered your department a video and saying so afraid to George, she should be arrested, correct? He goes, I'm not sure what you're referring to. And he goes, so if Lynette rolls down the window, speaks, and to George, she should be arrested based on the CPO, correct? He goes, I believe so. Huh.
Well, that's weird.
Huh.
He said, do you understand no communication means no communication? And he says, I believe so.
I believe so. I believe it does.
That's hilarious.
Eli goes, your office was given a video and you did not arrest Lynette Preston. Would you admit that your office made a mistake? He goes, no, sir, I would not go to that point. I would not state that we have made a mistake. That's interesting because you just said if any communication was made that they should be arrested, that is a violation of the civil protection order. So what's the probable cause of arrest? And he goes into this whole totality thing. It is not based on an incident. It is based on the totality of the circumstances. In other words, Jeremy Hales and George are YouTubers, and I think they're filming to make money. Therefore, I'm not going to arrest. Even though the law, both state and federal, say I must arrest. Even though I just told Eli that is an arrestable offense, I'm not going to arrest based on the totality of the circumstances. Do you communicate with Dan Owens? He says, yes. Did Dan Owens send you emails? Probably, but I don't know. Really, because it just so happens I have an email here, Dan Owens saying that he wants to investigate perjury. Are you aware of this email? Butt champ. Guy who's teaching Sunday school to adults in Bronson First Baptist says, I don't recall. Complete and total lie.
I don't recall. That's some
He
bullshit.
knows all about this in federal court right now.
Oh, they all do. These mofos have been communicating about it. All of that. So there's no way in the world that he doesn't know. That's why I hate hypocrites. I hate the hypocrisy of something like that. It's all law and order until it comes to self, right?
Dan Owens. He knows all about the emails. He has copies of. I've been sending it. Randy has sent it. Eli has sent it.
He says he doesn't recall, but he's not surprised that we have a copy of that email.
Is extending the middle finger, is that communication? And Butt Chump says, yes. So if John Cook extended the middle finger to Jeremy Hales, would that be a violation? I think it would be. If you placed a yard sign out there saying Otter Creek coward, would that be communication? He goes, well, that would depend on the purpose of the sign.
He says,
What?
Well, when people put signs in their yard, that's to communicate something. He goes, yes, I guess, but I don't know the intent.
Oh my God.
Are you aware that they have already been found in contempt of court and guilty because of the Otter Creek coward and OCC's Otter Creek coward, and they're communicating? He goes, this is the first time that you have ever seen an Ohio civil protection order. And he goes, yes, they're different than ours.
In the 28 years, he's never seen an Ohio civil stock.
Look, what is your hesitation?
Well, it's because it's like this. When they say someone, they're a big fish in a small pond. Well, sometimes people, they don't exist in a small pond. They exist in a mud puddle. And that's probably this guy. He's been the big, big fish. He's been the shark in the mud puddle, And does that mean anything? Not really. It's like saying, I'm the biggest amoeba around. Wow, amazing.
Why are you not enforcing? By the way, Eli is on fire. I can't do it like Eli did it. Eli is on fire, and Beecham is just spinning, and he knows he's caught, and they all know they're going to federal court. And he goes, what's your hesitation to enforce the civil protection orders? And he goes, lack of probable cause. Eli goes, you just told me that communication, signs, middle finger is all probable cause. Why haven't they been arrested? Well, we determined there was no probable cause. You're not discussing the totality of the circumstances. Eli goes, a third-party violation, is that probable cause? He goes, yes.
Third-party harassment as well.
But Chump says, my opinion is Jeremy Hales is doing this for internet traffic. And Eli goes, regardless of what he's doing it for, you should enforce. It's the law. It's your obligation, your duty to enforce under totality.
It's funny.
If there is communication,
God, I can't wait for the transcript of
this.
this.
Is a violation. Is that correct?
I need it.
And Butt Chump turns his whole answer from before and says, no, sir.
At this point, even her attorney is face palming.
Justin is face palming at McIntyre and Butt Chump and literally going, these idiots.
I can't believe
Justin could not believe these idiots. Justin is looking at us going, he's face palming. He can't believe it. He literally can't believe it.
I think it's funny.
None of us can. I'm looking at Eli. Eli's looking at me. George is looking at me. We're looking at Justin. We're all looking at each other going, what in the world is happening?
Could you imagine that? And remember, they thought that all of this stuff was a great plot. Like, oh man, I've got, because on paper it looks really good. I got law enforcement. I got this. I got that. Right? They're on my side. But the problem is, you're bringing them in to a courtroom where you're arguing with the judge on something that's already been found. The problem, so when they're saying that nothing's ever been a problem, you're not looking at the totality. Well, these mofos here, yeah, the totality is that an Ohio court decided things that they didn't want to enforce were problems. And they are. There is no excuse of this person, what their job is. It amazes me. Like I said, there is no other freaking job where you hear this kind of stuff. Have you ever heard them, let's say, let's just throw a person out there, right? Let's say old school Howard Stern. Old school Howard Stern was an instigator for sure. And if somebody would have threatened him, I'm sure he would instigate for sure. If he were giving a protective order, though, and should he be threatened? Should he have people violate that and go after him? And that's an instigator. Now with Hales, they're not saying they're saying he does it for internet traffic. Does what exactly? Like, that's my question too. Does what exactly? Contact the police? Record? Discuss? What exactly in that is for internet traffic? I'm curious about that. I am. I'm very curious about that. I would love to have an explanation of what exactly is being there. Because, I've heard he files lawsuits because of internet traffic. And I'm telling you, there is no way you make money that way. I know as a YouTuber, I know what YouTubers make. And I'm telling you that there is no way in hell that the amount of traffic that he gets that adds up. That's why when they talk about working around the clock, oh yeah, oh yeah, because there is no way in the world that works out favorably. You can't spend $500,000 freaking dollars trying to get justice. And that somehow you're making money. Like this idea, it just blows my mind. Anyway, let's continue. That's why when Lips and them, they talked about how much money that Lisa made. You know, they were being told how much that she made. Oh, she might have made that from donations to Lynette Preston. But as far as fucking internet money and stuff, no way. Doesn't work that way, you know. But Jeremy Hales and them, like I said, I've seen enough of this. I've been keeping up with what we've seen. Like somebody just said, we don't have half of it. You know, Jeremy and George have not told people half of what's going on. That's the crazy part too. You know, you don't know about every violation or every twist or turn, because you can't talk about every single thing. You don't talk about certain strategies and more. I know that with my own stuff going on, you know, but like the John Cook coming and turning around and filming them. Like, think about how crazy this stuff is. It's just the stuff you know about is freaking insane. Oh, it blows my mind. This whole thing does. But it blows my mind that they can be I hope they never stop recording there. That's one of the things, you know. You could tell they felt really good about court, though, especially that second half. Like this, in this, they look like they feel good, but they look tired. You know what I mean? Like this is just right after a hearing and everything else. But when they discussed what had happened in court at the end there, you could tell they felt really good about everything that happened. And I get the feeling that the Fats are not feeling very good about how things played out. Because again, they're, like I said at the beginning of this, they're saying things like, well, everything's doing great. It's going to fall. Well, it may, as long as the judge is willing to admit blah, blah, blah. But will they really? So, you know, when you start seeing that stuff, you're like, they got their doubts. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that there will be a specific outcome. I personally don't trust the courts to get it right, you know, but Ohio's done a good job so far. They have. This stuff should be very cut and dry, you know, and that, like I said, they've done a good job. It seems like the courts outside of this little, these places have done pretty well, and certain judges there, but Lord. Anyway, let's continue. And the bankruptcy looks like it's but anyway, let's continue.
Even their defense lawyer could not believe what McIntyre and Buckchump were saying under oath, knowing it's going to be used in federal court, knowing I had already given testimony
by the way,
that Levy County Sheriff was being sued in federal court for violating my civil rights. And Justin is sitting there going, shut up, shut up, shut up. He knows they're being sued. I already said it.
Good.
Do you think he's regretting allowing them to come on and testify as a witness now?
I don't think he thinks it was a good idea. It was great for us. Oh, it was incredible. It was incredible. The judge. Oh man, if you could just see her face. At this point in time, this is getting towards the end of the day. And the magistrate says, listen, we're gonna have to continue to another day.
Yeah. At this point, it's 3:04.
So
in the afternoon. She
asked Justin, do you have more witnesses? Because it's his courtroom now. We started with Eli. It's now his courtroom to call witnesses. And he goes, yeah, I have 3 more witnesses. No, 4. And he goes, I have Tina Haley, which she'll be thrown out. Bruce Maskin, geez, I can't wait to get him under oath and use that in the courts against him. This is going to be incredible.
We welcome that one too.
Oh yeah,
we didn't see that coming, but we welcome.
There's no way
I was shocked.
Buckchump or McIntyre. Well,
I have to say, I was shocked that Bruce would expose himself like that. With everything going on, he thought that was a good idea. I mean, this is a guy that didn't. He knew the lawyer up. He did all of that. But he thought that the risk versus reward. You look at everything like that. Everything, risk versus reward. You know, when you're in this type of situation, is there something that could be gained? I mean, they're looking at, you know, the protective order, I suppose, and saying, oh, if it falls then. But the problem is it doesn't undo the protective order existing in the first place. And for Bruce to open his mouth and potentially, you know, say the wrong thing, which may have well been the case. I guess we'll hear about that more in depth. And like I said, I can't wait to see a transcript on it too. Oh, it's fun stuff. It's just wild, man.
Deuce, it may beat them. And he goes, no, I've got 4. Tina and Deuce and Lynette and Crook, which obviously that's going to happen. So basically, there's a continuance. The civil protection orders are still in effect. Our next court date is March 6th, 9 a.m. But she put the extension of the civil protection orders all the way through April 20th. So she stated, particularly to Lynette and Crook, which, by the way, Crook is outside. Is outside on his phone. And she states to them and says, you understand that this protection order is still in effect until April 20th. And the reason why she did that, she said, listen, we're coming back March 6th, but I'm extending it to April 20th until my decision is made. So even after my decision, there is still in effect. If I say no, then it goes away. If I say yes, it continues on, which we're asking 5 years, all guns taken away, and we're asking for jail time. And she says, do you understand, John Cook? He says, yes, Your Honor. And Lynette says, absolutely, Your Honor. And then Preston, as this is all ending a conclusion, she starts more garbage and talking to Harley or something.
Hey, Puzzler, BBB did show up. He did. So just a note. When it happened, I didn't think he would show up for the for this hearing. I didn't think he would at all. If you mean with other cases, I mean, if it's about him, oh, he's got a problem otherwise. But he did show up for this. That's what blew my mind. If you would have asked me, will I place money, you know, pro or con, I would have said, no way. No way. But I don't understand Bruce's thinking sometimes. It's like, is it an irrational hatred of certain people? I don't know. I don't get it. Like, he seems to really dislike certain people. They said that Bruce, by the way, brought up a couple of people. He brought up Megan and brought up Shizzy Wiznut. And that's what I'm saying. Look, out of the pantheon of people that Bruce truly hates, I believe he hates Hales, obviously, Randy. That shows very well. But Megan, he seems obsessed with Megan and Yoga Megan, you know, and Shizzy Wiznut. Now, am I in the pantheon of dislike? I'm sure. Yes, I can tell that. But I don't think I make the just overly, like, just despised and loathed like those people. Why? I don't know. I don't know why I don't make it there. But he absolutely, he brought up, according to Hales when he was speaking the other day, he said that they brought up Shizzy Wiznut. My name, Shizzy Wiznut, was said. That's wild, huh? Could you imagine testifying and bringing up that kind of name? Shizzy Wiznut. That's just funny.
And
1 minute left.
The judge again says, Preston, be quiet.
And she rolls her eyes and says, I'm sorry. But she didn't give
I haven't done her. A 6-year-old who still isn't potty trained.
It's not her daughter.
And is in horrific conditions that needs to be saved. Court is concluded, hopefully, March 6th, 2025.
Now, we know, obviously, that it did conclude, and there will be new video. They'll keep dropping. There's more. I can't wait, personally. I know, like I said, there's so much insanity. Listen to some super chats. God, this stuff is so crazy. There's so much of it. It's been interesting to watch play out. Re-arrived. Kicked it off there. Thanks for the 5. Holy moly, Tug. I was cooking a roast pork dinner. That sounds good, by the way. Man, that sounds... Look, the potatoes are coming up. You see? Roast potato, sage and onion stuff, carrots, cabbage, Yorkshire pudding. And you're early. Yes, indeed. Indeed. And even earlier today for some of you, which has got to be on. It'll adjust out in the next week. Max Lab, thanks for the super chat, my friend. Thank you also for everything you do. Appreciate you, my friend. Jack's mom, what's up? Thank you for the gifted membership. Thank you, Jack's mom. Very much appreciate you too. Watchdog, thank you. I can never tell. Like when I look at the guitar in your avatar, I can never tell what it is until I hit that and it zooms in. I always think, is that like a pyramid head from Silent Hill or something? I can't tell. And then I'm like, oh, it's a guitar. I got you there. Just always throws me off. And I like that. I like the weird mystery to it. I'm like, what is that? Oh yeah. Every time it throws me. Maybe it's just my mind. Maybe I'm like, too much Silent Hill. But thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you too. Thank you very much. That's awesome. I love like I said, gifted memberships are amazing. I get written by people all the time thanking, they're like, I don't know who did this, but, and that's awesome. So thank you all to do that. Any Saurus, I like that. That's fun. Thank you for the super sticker there. Thank you for the super sticker too. I always love showing those to the kids in the aftermath. So I like to clip them and show them to them. I can see those on my dashboard behind the scenes. So thank you. Fallen Hero, thank you for the gifted membership. Thank you, Fallen Hero. And as I say it every time, and I mean it, thank you for being here every single time, my friend. Appreciate it. Swedish Cat, thank you for the super chat there. Lurk attacks indeed. Woo, baby. Thank you for the lurk attacks, and thank you for being here. Thank you all of you that showed up, by the way. It's early on the day. I like it. I know some of you in other time zones outside, it is very late when we stream in the day. It's late from, streaming until the wee hours anyway on this side. But it's the way that like Megalodonis and myself have made it link up. And everybody's established their own time zones too. So on Sundays, it's most people know I'm going to go at around 3 my time, but every other day, if I move backwards, I'm like, okay, well, this day I'm going to move back. I would end up streaming over somebody else. So I try not to do that. I try to let everybody, they have theirs. And, again, do you have to do that? No, but I think that's etiquette. There are a lot of people, I know specific people that cover this specific thing, and I try not to roll over people when they do that, and they do the same thing. I like it. Sneaky Sheep, what's up, Sneaky Sheep? I always like your name. Thanks for the 5. It's amazing how much a single brain cell can be spread out. I know, I think that sometimes too. I'm like, these people, they don't have the output power to flip a light switch, and yet they're out here trying to function as complete human beings. It's amazing, isn't it? Be Rad. What's up, Be Rad, man? I appreciate you, my friend. It's good to see you. Thank you for the 5 giftos. Thank you. You're another. Been here forever, my friend. Thank you. Travis, thanks for the 5. Every court I've been to. If you hear my clicking, I'm cleaning a knife, by the way. It's a punch blade. One of those that you flip the switch and the blade pops out. So I'm cleaning it off. I was messing with it today, and I got mud on it, so I'm cleaning it so it doesn't get inside of it. It's an old knife. I always carry a pocket knife or 2 or 3, as well as my pew pew. So I had it. I cut some of them, and I ended up getting freaking mud on it. Ugh. Anyway, sorry, but I was just telling you because I was like, man, I've been clicking that thing a lot. So if you hear it, that's what that is. But Travis, thank you for the vibe again. Every court I've been to was cold as hell, and so was the jail I ended up in. Glad you're on, brother. Hope everyone is doing great. Saturday, I love y'all. I've seen like a lot of places like cold, like jail cells. I've heard that quite a bit. They're cold. You know, the one up here, that's what I've never been in it, but the hope never to be in it. But that's what I've heard. It's cold up there. And most courthouses I've been to, they're cool, which is, you know, usually that's what you want, you know, because I mean, the lawyers, everybody's dressed pretty heavily, you know, so it's pretty uncomfortable, like wearing all of that, wearing jackets, especially in the summer. Ugh, I hate getting hot. Like I can't stand to get like really overwhelmingly hot, you know, wearing something like that. I like the cool. I appreciate you too, Travis, man. It's good to see you, brother. Hippie Witch, what's up? It is good to see you too. Thank you for the membership. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for that membership and welcome to Tugs Thugs. Thank you. I know you've been here a while too. You know, I love that spiel too. I love to say that. So thank you. 9-pin bowling dropped super sticker there. Thank you for that. Again, the super stickers are awesome because I get to show the little ones those. She loves the super stickers. She absolutely loves those. So I always love to do that. Andre, thanks to you. Thought I got the time wrong. Yeah, girls get candy money. I know the time zone is bizarre when it switches off like that. That daylight savings time, man. Or well, you know what I mean. The end of it where you lose the hour. I like it when I gain my hour. You know, when I get an extra hour for sleep or goofing off or whatever. That's fun, but I don't like giving it back. You know, now that we're even, I would be okay with taking it away. Yeah, but in some states, it still has its uses. You know, so I don't know if people were like, we're gonna get rid of that. It's strange because we add an hour of daylight. Yeah, okay. Okay, so you say I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Yeah, Hippie Witch, thank you for that gifted membership there too. Thank you yet again as well. And very much appreciate you. Thank you. Philharmonic, what's up? Thank you for the 5. Once again, maybe the locals think Jeremy is big of a problem. It's not a conspiracy against Jeremy. It's a conspiracy if law enforcement acts like that. If they don't, law enforcement, that becomes a real problem, you know, because again, they're not feelings enforcement. Like it's a certain layout. So if they, you know, they have to investigate a specific way. And look, again, they like to say the totality of, okay, well, the totality of is you got a protective order. These people do certain things they've already violated multiple times. Well, you know, and again, people that live there, here's the thing, people that live in somewhere, they're going to like and they're going to hate you. It doesn't really matter. Like the bigger the personality, the more that'll come across. I've heard quite a few people in that area have been just fine with it. I've talked to again, when you look at, there's not that many people there. So when you're contacted by a few people that are from that area, that makes a big impact too. You know, outside of these specific loudmouth individuals, it doesn't seem to be some uniform feeling. You know, you have people that seem to have their own personal squabbles. The only problem is in a place with 100 people, if you have squabble with 3 or 4 people, I mean, you're talking about 4% of the population. That's crazy. You know, typically, like in the town here, if I had a problem with 10 people or a dozen people, it wouldn't even register. But if I had a problem with a dozen people in Levy County, That's 12% of the population. I mean, that's where, that's a big difference there. So, but I've heard, like I said, from people in that area that have been like, hey, the guy's great. He's been good for this area too. So, I think anybody with that comes in from the outside period in a small enclosed place, you're going to be perceived as an outsider by some. Some people are going to have issues, and I do think that the reaction from prosecutors, law enforcement, that's where you get into some problems, some conspiratorial seeming problems, because again, their feelings, if they can't enforce the law without feelings, then they don't need to be law enforcement. They don't need to be prosecutors. They need to step it aside, Sister Sal, and thank you for your input. Sister Sal, thank you for the super sticker there too. Thank you, Sister Sal. Great to see you there. As always, love the avatar too. Love it. Thank you. Honey Winch, thank you for the 15 months there. If I wasn't so old and married, I'd be after Tug. I live with his girls and take Tug to LOL. Well, I appreciate that. I myself am not I'm not a youngster on this on that side of it. I wonder sometimes how old people think I am. I don't really note that. I'll let people guess at it. But I mean, it's people can look at it and figure that out. But yeah, I'm not a youngster either. But I appreciate with the girls and stuff. Yeah, I like being a parent. My kids are important very much in my life. They're funny too. Like they're not just they're good people too, and I'm proud of them for that. I think they're hilarious too. I love, like I said, I love messing with them. But it's like the Ohio thing is really funny. Putting signs on or stickers on the kids' doors. Just stupid things like that. I love it. Irish Lace, thanks for the 17 months. Thank you for that. It's awesome. Leave it count. Hell, Ohio court, you're corrupt without telling. Exactly, man. Like that tells you there's a problem when they pop up and they're essentially saying, well, we've already decided this guy is a YouTuber, therefore. If they've already come to the conclusion that things happen because of content, well, then what it's telling you, the unspoken part of that is that these people can do no wrong, the others. They've decided for whatever reason that it doesn't matter that they violated or anything else. They've formulated their own opinion outside of the Ohio court. And that's wild. Joe, thanks for the 2 there. Lynette is no, that's terrible. That is absolutely terrible there. Cynic, thanks for the 2 there. Only me can really lose weight. He lost 41,000 pounds. Oh my gosh, that's pretty funny. That's actually a really good joke. I'm telling you, I have made people mad in my time online, like some really butthurt individuals, but I never had somebody thinking they're flexing come to my chat and be like, we got a PI. I'm spending thousands of dollars monitoring you. Why won't you come outside so I can make fun of you? What a butthurt loser. Oh, I love it. And now I've been outside. I'm like, where are you? I'm here. Make fun of me, you stupid moron. he's gone quiet. What a loser. What an absolute loser. I love it. Oh, William, thanks for the 20 there. Not shocked if they repost of the interview talking about the PO was not mentioned. Frustration I have with Randy, it's the highlights, but not the details that show the depths of the issue. Well, remember in the Ohio hearing, it's not Randy though, it's Eli. Like to note that. And remember with like Randy filings, with the place that you're at, you go into so much depth with the initial filings, but you can't run down the rabbit hole yet. We haven't even gotten to, remember, like with any of the losses, we haven't ever gotten to discovery, where you really start to detail things. That's when you would see everything, but running it down, like for Fed 2, for example, Fed 2 was just the complaint. Now, what you want to do, courts, they, unlike, there's certain people, I guess, in the antis that think that writing very lengthy documents, being very, very verbose, that helps you out. And it doesn't necessarily. You want to fill it with case law, a case study, but you want to be succinct in some of that too. You want to get to the point with some of it. But later on, that's when it fills out. Now with Fed 1, you're getting to that point. When it froze, that's where you should be getting to all of the detail work right there. But Fed 2, I thought there were some good arguments in the response to the magistrate's recommendations. I thought there were some very good notes in there about, how this item or that item. One of the things that really stuck out to me in that, for example, was how, the magistrate, Belitho, he pointed out how it was one thing about profit and how you had to spell out something, but only 6 months later, the same court he quotes does an about face and changes their opinion on that. Again, I thought he did a pretty good job on that. But yeah, if we really want to, I'd like to see, I think his filings can be really good, but those initial filings, again, you don't get into the nitty gritty or the down and the dirty of it until you get into the court case itself. I appreciate your input, but remember, in Ohio, you're dealing with Eli. I think Eli has been very effective in there, but I would like to know what you were talking about. I would like to know if that did come up. Green Veggie, thanks for the 5 there. Oh, poo. That ain't no little drug. That's confirmation. She's addicted. She loses a cat. I've not commented on the child thing. I comment on red flags. I think that is the most appropriate commentary on there. That does give me a lot of concern with some of her own statements. The other stuff, though, yeah, with the subtext thing, that's interesting. I'd love to see her commentary. Like I said, Cynic, thanks for the 5. Shar on Megan's stream, but Tug writes the title: Live Courtroom Drama Exposed. The Journalist Speaks. Exclusive interview about what the hell's. Indeed. Isn't that beautiful? You gotta make those sexy freaking titles, man. Remember too, only 70 characters show up on the sidebar, so you got to make it really spicy at the beginning. Aussie Wombat. I also like in this, I love that the antis get so butthurt about titles. Like if you put in bombshell or like nuke or exposed. So I love putting that in there just because it really pisses them off too. I like that. That's the secondary part of it. Aussie Wombat, man. Thanks for the 31 there. Due to the totality of the circumstances, I feel compelled to donate these breadsticks. I love that super chat. That is hilarious. That made me laugh quite a bit. Thank you. Ian, what's up? Thanks for the 2. Drinks for the office icebox. Ooh, yeah. Get that office icebox on. It's funny. I was looking at a couple of those to see how they would set up and more. Feathercatcher, thanks for the 2 there. Coffee for the PI. I know, man. Maybe we could take him out. There's a pretty good place out here. They serve a good coffee or chai tea if that's what you're into. Bunsen Rockenstone, thanks for the 16 months. Thank you, my friend. I can't believe LMEMUP hasn't posted her video yet. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? You know what's funny is she promised us a video a long time ago. Remember what that was about, by the way? She was going to expose the fat. See, that's all the stuff you're supposed to forget happened. Remember? Yeah. She's like, I'm going to broadcast on here. I'm going to expose these liars. It's really funny. Never got that, of course. It's just like so many other things. Travis, thanks for the 2. Oh, and the book is going good. That's awesome, man. 12 chapters. Man, slogging through book writing is work. So props getting through 12 there. That's amazing. That is. That's great. Blah. Thanks for the 5. My husband is law enforcement. I had him watch, and he didn't believe it was real. They really inserted themselves. What the? Yeah. I read that again. You know, I read it before when it came up, but yeah, it shocks me to see these law enforcement officers carry it as far as they have. Again, they open themselves up. Or they may open themselves up. There's a lot of immunity as far as witnesses, you know, as far as them causing themselves a problem. So they figure, oh, we got witness immunity. No big deal, you know. But what they don't think of is litigation here. Them talking about Dan Owen email, an email they didn't turn over. Wait, what? I mean, they still haven't turned over. Isn't that crazy, by the way? You have all these laws in places that say that, you know, like sunshine laws, for example, right? Where these police, they're supposed to, or not just police, but, you know, again, any of these governmental apparatus, they're supposed to operate where the public can provide scrutiny. And yet they will fight to the ends of the earth not to turn over things. You see that all the time with body cam footage when something goes bad. Like, you know, not every jurisdiction, but you see a lot of that come from Florida. I'm kind of amazed by some of the craziness that comes out of Florida. But yeah, I thought that's good. I've heard a lot of people that keep up with you know, people with all types of including law enforcement. And they're like, what is going on in Levy County? This is crazy. Cynic, thanks for the 2. If you send a letter from Ohio, include bottle caps. There you go. I love that. I love that Fallout referencing. I just thought it was hilarious. She was like, that's Ohio. It's like, why do you think Ohio is a wasteland? When you ask her something like that, it's funny with anything, whether she's in trouble about something or, you know, it's just something like that. She's like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, you don't want to talk about why you think Ohio's a wasteland. Okay. Kat, thanks for the 5. My son drove most of Ohio Turnpike with his learner's permit on our way from Virginia to Oakland, California to the living room to college. That's awesome. Like I said, I don't think she's ever been to Ohio that I can remember. I just thought that was such a random thing to come out. Ohio. Cynic, thanks for the 5. Brett Buttchump is a Levy County underparent sheriff. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. That amazes me. Deuce and Buttchump. What a pair. Cindy, thanks for the 2. Levy County has only helped anti-Hale. So yes, they've actually made this thing much, much worse than it should be. They have. Because if they would have stepped on this issue from go, if they would have said no more of it, we're going to stop this. We're going to actually uphold the protective order. This stuff would have stopped. At least they could have put a stop to certain people. And they could have stepped in and said at any time, you know, that's why with 2L saying that law enforcement had spoken to her and stuff, who was saying that she inferred very heavily that it was Levy County. And off of that, if it's Levy County, these people don't worry about Levy County. I think they talked about their conversations. They've had plenty of them off the record with Levy County because they don't want anything that you can FOIA. They said that in broadcasts. They talked about they don't want their conversations with Levy County police to be FOIA'd or the prosecutors there or whatever. They don't want it FOIA'd. The only reason that we know, in fact, out of one of those FOIA requests that stuff was there was because somebody decided to write about it in an email. But they're having off the fucking record conversations with people that are calling about harassing. I mean, it looks crazy when you think about it all. You know, when you put it all, the totality of the circumstances. 1 second. I'm writing something down. Trying to remind myself of something for that FOIA. We still need to cut all that apart. FOIA letters. I've forgotten to, with Levy. We've forgotten to pull all of that apart too. Gina, thanks for the 4 months. Fun times. That's right. Fun times indeed. I love it. Thank you. I love it. Also, dropped a gifted membership on top of that. Thank you, Gina. Much appreciated. And again, not just helping out. You are giving something to someone else. That's amazing too. Thank you. Risa, thanks for the 10th there. Yeah, I liked this though. So you're saying, Tug, that I shouldn't move to Georgia or the Carolinas since my great-great-grandfather was part of Sherman's March to the Sea. Okay, got it. Yeah, that might not, some people that wouldn't matter anymore. But yeah, there's some small places especially, they'd be like, no, thank you. Rewrite. Thanks for the, well, mutter my butt and call me a biscuit, y'all. Indeed. Dog will hunt. All right. Dog will hunt. Kitty pants. Thanks for the 5. You put on a Southern accent, but it's not much different than your real accent. By the way, I'm from the South too. Indeed. It's good. Yes. Southerners. Here's the thing. Like I said, when I make fun of, those accents, it's just a slower, deeper. I make it very, I draw it out even more. So, like for myself, I probably speak it half speed. So it's like I'm speaking at 0.10 speed or something. I love it. Grandma, what's up, Grandma Lola? Thanks for the 5 there. I was born, learned to speak, and family moved to Minnesota in elementary school. The school sent me speech therapy. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy to try to drive the accent out of you. Ugh. When I started YouTube, I've told this before, I had people tell me that I would never be able to do anything on here because people, they don't like Southern accents. They were like, you could use AI, Actually, at the time, it wasn't AI. It was something else. I can't remember, but it would be AI now. But you could use that or this. I was like, no, thank you. But I remember, like, when I had my first, like, one of my first big videos, a bigger YouTuber commented on it and said, do you find it hard to grow because of your accent? I was like, no. It was just so weird to have people tell you, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want that. I think it'll be fine. Jason, thanks for the 2. Time to defend. Levy County Sheriff. Time to defend them. Man, well, they need to defend themselves. That's for sure. They definitely need to, I don't know, make something worth defending, I guess. Adair, drop 5, gift Mary. Good to see you, Adair, by the way. I was wondering about you, my friend. It's good to see you. And yeah, puzzler. What makes you think BBB would actually show up? Well, with the if you're talking about other cases, since he did show up with Ohio, maybe if you aren't caught up with everything, he did, like I said, show up. But if you mean with other cases, if that's what you meant in that, I think he will show up with other cases, or at least he'll show up with Zoom for sure. Like a lot of stuff you can do with Zoom, but yeah, I think he's going to show up for a lot of items, and we'll see what happens. Because if he didn't show up for it, it'd be a default judgment against him, and he'd have a real problem there. The Kiwi Crypt Keeper, thanks for the 5. So who enforces federal law in Florida? Because Dan Owens is using immunity to avoid well, it's a good question of who would enforce it, because really, when you're talking about these prosecutors and more, getting someone involved to take them on, who indeed, it's a whole lot of nothing that happened. You run into some real problems. That's why court-wise, you end up having to fight a lot of these people tooth and nail to hopefully get some. That's why I say also it's difficult to win cases like the one with Dan Owen, because ultimately you're not just fighting someone like Dan Owen, you're fighting an entire system of government sometimes, where these people, there are many of them in positions of power. I'm setting my redirect while we're talking, that they've been there for a long time and they feel very, very comfortable. Now tonight, the Ohio court update should be interesting. The live stream with the Hales tonight should be really good. It comes up at 7, so you got about 24 minutes. Again, remember, time change around, so it's upcoming soon. Shine, thanks for the 20 there. Sorry, I'm late sending breadsticks. The pups are keeping me busy. Well, hey, I'm glad to see you here. Appreciate you. Could see them keeping you busy like that too. That's all good. Good to see you. Jack's mom, thanks for the 5. I don't know if I'm mixing cord. Did Fleesa say that what people were wearing when she told what was happening in Ohio? And I'm mixing this case and the bankruptcy. No, she talked about certain details with that court that made people think. Now she, as far as the bankruptcy, she gave more detail, but with the Ohio thing, she talked. Remember, she posted about some of the protective order, and that's really what and they had that little oopsie. Remember when Gabe was running his mouth? I think that. So I think, yeah, you're probably mixing a couple of things there, because remember when the bankruptcy thing came up, she got into one of those as a creditor, so she did get to talk about some of that. But with the Ohio stuff, she went into Ray's chat, and then they screwed up, and they kept running their mouths over on their platform and said even more things that were like, oops, that didn't go over well. Angela Quinn, what's up? Thanks for the 2. Hey, I'm still alive. Good. I'm glad to see you there. Struggling to kill me yet. Well, hey, all jokes aside there, I'm glad that you are with us, and I'm glad you're here for sure. We defy the flow of time. I love it. We do. Leg warmer lady, thanks for the 10. Did you send my leg warmer? Did you send my leg warmers to Megan? Not yet. We've got I figure maybe for my birthday, I'll send them to her. Not for her birthday. I'll send them for my birthday. No, I've got a thing I need to send over there too. She so I don't know if any of you know what rescue drops are. You know those. You probably like you may get advertisements for them or stuff, but they're one of the things like Megan's kids have had to use. I bought some, and they accidentally sent me a secondary thing of them, so I'm gonna end up mailing those to her around that time. And when I do, I'm gonna mail that over too. But first, I need to make 2 more videos. I just have to feel like it. I'm almost there. But they'll get there. They will. Just not yet. Not yet. It's not time yet. Jack Spot, thanks for the vibe. What can the Ohio judge do to leave the county to get them to actually do their jobs? She could like really scathingly unload on them. And that's an embarrassment. But what will happen? I don't know. And that's a problem too. If a jurisdiction is not going to if they're not going to follow a court's order, I mean, they can cause themselves some problems. We've seen courts take issue with law enforcement before, and I mean it depends. I don't think they'll do anything like that. I think they at most like they be loud about it, complain, potentially, but I think in the or they make it very clear. What they do is when they take something like all of this stuff where you had 2 of them come in and say nothing happened, and they decide and they rule and say, hey, this is a violation. That in and of itself is them calling them out. And I think calling them out is big there. Oh no, I saw Lynette nuked. It really is an A and not a U. No, not naked. Nope. Nope. That's terrible. Oh, gross. No. Who's your daddy? Thanks for the 2 there. Lisa is going to be the jailhouse loofah queen. Yuck. Oh, gross. That's an image I don't need in my life. Monster. Jason, that makes more sense. My autocorrect kicked in. I meant to fund leave the county, not to fit. I was like, well, and again, if you thought this is my point of view on it, Jason, and it makes more sense now because I was like, defend them with what? But you're allowed to have a differing opinion. Again, I don't. When people super chat, again, like let's see, that 70-page filing, for example, there were a couple of, I believe I know whose accounts they were, but still, there were comments, super chats that wanted to talk about them and talk trash, and you're allowed to. You're allowed not to like it. You're allowed to think everyone's terrible. You're allowed to think that filings are awful or not like a person or this or that. If you would have, and I'm not saying you do, but in that, when I saw the defend, I was like, okay, but defund makes a lot more sense. I was like, okay, that makes more sense in the context, my friend, for sure. Yeah, it definitely makes a lot more sense. Let me see. I think I am caught up. Let me just make sure I haven't missed anything. Wait, what now? Well, that's crazy. One of the things, so this is messed up. YouTube, when I go live, gives me a notification that I'm live, right? It didn't give me a notification today. Isn't that wild? It didn't even tell me. Road Pirate, thanks for the 2. Heard you say sending Megan leg warmers. Happy birthday. Yeah, indeed. I said some words like that. That's funny. Happy cold day and no, I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh. That's funny. All right. Well, I'm going to redirect you all. You've got about 15 minutes before today. Should be a really good live stream, I would think. Should be very entertaining. Got all this court stuff coming up. And we're going to have videos throughout the week. So remember, tomorrow, again, with Megan, we'll have fun with it. And I appreciate you folks, every day. Thank y'all.